Hello and welcome to episode 67 of the Talk Nintendo podcast. Joining me this fine evening, as always, the one, the only, Perry Burkham.
Hello, Casey.
How are you this fine evening?
I'm good. I decided to bring my banjo on just to keep things lively. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you know what? Some live music always spices it up from those stale pre-recorded jingles that we've got. So
totally. And I wanted to feel more like the radio. You know how the radio hosts do it. I don't think they do it with banjos sitting.
They've just got like
room.
Slide whistles and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. But speaking of slide whistles,
yes, we are also joined again, sort of again. First real appearance on the actual numbered podcast. Probably the busiest man on Nintendo World Report, and that is David Lloyd.
hello. Say hello, David.
Hello, evening, gentlemen.
How's it going, David?
I'm doing all right. How about you?
It's good to finally get you on board for a real podcast here. I say real because you did fill in on some interviews for us, so that was always good. But good to have you on a traditional one.
Yeah, long-time listener, first-time caller.
Yeah, there you go. Now, I feel like we should properly introduce, I got an intro. David got an intro. I think I should introduce good old Casey Gibson.
Show for you gentlemen this fine evening.
Okay, I'm putting the banjo down. All right.
Okay. Now that we've got that out of the way, we've got our live music fill in. We've got a pretty good little episode here, don't we?
Yeah. I mean, there's games to talk about. We have our maybe biggest eShop roundup ever.
You know what? I feel like we say that every week, and every week it keeps on climbing. So I'm just wondering when we're going to fall off an edge and just get no Neo Geo games or something, you know? I'm waiting for that day.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's not today, buddy. But we're also going to have, some news that's pretty lungy, and then a topic of the show. What's it going to be? David, what's our topic of the show?
I don't know.
And there you have it. We don't know.
I don't work here.
I don't know. Yeah, right.
Oh wait, it's about tactical RPGs.
There you go. Yeah, we're gonna talk about RPGs in an unnamed segment that we haven't named yet. That's why it's an unnamed segment.
I thought the name thrown around was the genre lasagna.
Yeah, I
was trying.
Codename, you know what? Since we're gonna talk about Codename Steam, we should just call it Codename Genre Lasagna.
Because I was trying to think of some good way that we can make a jingle or a nice rhyme out of that, and I was like, genre lasagna, and I was like, man, it's so close yet they're so far away.
I know, but we'll see what happens. Maybe I'll think of something different when we get there. One of us will. So, but let's kick it off with what David has been playing. This is a game that we've talked about, we've talked about it many different times, but not really super in depth, if you know what I mean. So, David, don't feel bad about going in depth.
I will try my best. So the game I've been playing mostly the past little bit has been Xenoblade Chronicles 2. I'm a big RPG fan. So this game, it's been very fun. It took a while to get into, though. It was a game that when I started it back at the beginning of December, there was just so many games coming out, and it just, every time I tried to play it, I just felt distracted, and then it was so complicated with everything going on that it just wasn't, the hook wasn't there. And then I would say a few days before Christmas, when I finally started discovering all of the different mechanics and finally understood how the
systems,
the many systems, there was kind of a eureka moment in a battle where it all just finally clicked. So so right now I'm finishing up chapter 4. So I would say I'm near the end of that. I'm kind of the type.
Now, how far along is that?
I think I've played it about somewhere between 25 and 30 hours.
Okay.
I probably could have got to where I am a lot quicker, but I'm the kind that likes to goof around with the side quests. And once I kind of understood how the affinity chart worked on the blades, that was the other thing, was that I was figuring out how to get my check marks on each spot, so I would start looking for all the side quests for the blades. And then I got really interested in the I can't remember what they call it in the game, but it's like the cutscenes where they all have kind of a moment together.
Oh, like the heart. I know they've been called heart-to-hearts in the other games. I forget if that's the proper terminology with Xenoblade 2 or not. But
it's the same. It's heart-to-heart, the little sections. So, and then the other big reveal for me was the difference between a normal blade and a rare blade. I never really caught it at the beginning. So I think I had 80 core crystals that I hadn't opened yet, because I had like 3 blades each, and I'm like, these guys are pretty good. And then
we don't need any more.
We don't need more than 3 each, right? So and then when I realized they actually do other things, then I was like, okay, so I'm just gonna sit down and I'm gonna open 80 blades and hope for the best.
Oh, and it takes for that, opening those 80 blades probably took you a good hour.
Yeah, I really wish they had a way to skip. Like, it's funny, they allow you to skip the cutscene for the blade, but they don't let you skip that initial like 3.
The pulsating,
yeah, where you pick the person and then you get like the 3 pulses. So
oh my god,
they were very proud of the pulsations.
Well, I tell you what, it does feel good on the Joy-Cons, but it's just one of those things where I was like, yeah, you're like, okay, I've got 60 common core crystals, and I've got a couple rare blade or rare core crystals, and it's like, there has to be a way that I can open up like 10 of these at a time, you know, like, or like you said, there's got to be a way to skip it, but nope. There sure is not.
Nope, you're doing it the hard way. So it was all right for the first 10, 12, and it got a little old after that. So
and the worst thing is, like, having the rare blades, they make the common blades seem so like inferior. Yeah. Where I'm like, oh, like I don't even want this like faceless bum on my team. You know what I mean? Like I want a rare blade where that actually has like a personality.
Yeah. Well, that's it. Yeah, and you know right away when you got a rare one or a common one, and so, you know, after about 20 or 30, you just start screaming, "God damn, another robot!" So you're
I know. Oh God.
You're just hoping for that extra cutscene and not just the generic, robot cutscene where you can just skip over it and move on. So.
Yeah, I mean, Casey's been playing this a bunch, and I'm wondering how have you still been playing it, Case?
Yeah, not as much as I would like to of the last couple days, just because some other games have been popping up, and I just picked up a game for review that I'll be talking a little bit about in a minute. But yeah, I actually just played a little bit before recording, and I actually had back-to-back rare crystals or rare blades pop, so I was actually pretty stoked about that, because I've definitely mentioned this before, but just as a reminder, there's 3 kinds of blades. So you've got like attack blades, tank blades, and healer blades. and the way I have my party configured, I had a character who was like primarily tank blades, but I already had a tank, so I was trying to switch that person. I don't want to do any spoilers with who the actual character is, but I wanted that person to be like my healer. So yeah, it was just how many core crystals I popped to try and get like actual good healer blades for that person, because I was using 2 of the common just like robot ones, and I was like, I just want like a real blade here, and I just actually finally got one maybe half hour before recording, so pretty happy about that.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I guess I'll go into that eureka moment just in case other people like myself who are getting frustrated with the battle system. The eureka moment for me was realizing when you're in a battle, in that top right hand corner, it actually gives you a map of how to get to that kind of the combo, the blade art combo, that third or fourth really big hit. Up until that point, I just wasn't really getting to that. I thought I had to save it, like save up to 3 or 4 to get to it. And then that's when I realized that when you first use a blade art, whether it's your characters or Nia's or Tora's, so when you pick the element, up in the top right hand corner, there's like a meter that counts down, and then there's always 2 options from there, and it shows which element is which. That continues the combo, and then even after that, it shows you what the third element would be after the second element. So it actually gave me the ability to say, okay, I see if I start with, say, Dromark, I believe he was water. So if I start with Dromark's water, it shows that the next blast either has to be fire or stone. So I was rearranging my blades so that I'd have someone that could do that. And then I could see that after I did either stone or water, there would be another element that I could choose from. So I would want to make sure that I had a third person there. So as soon as I realized that was the case, I was writing down the different combinations that would work. And then I was able to make my team much more efficient. So I was getting that triple combo every time in battles now, and it just made life so much easier, and everything clicked after that. It was like, okay, I'm not losing battles anymore. This is easy, it makes more sense. And then as I started to have more blades, that's when I started to realize that when I wanted to do things, the masteries would come into play. Like when I wanted to open a treasure chest, I knew that I'd have to have a certain focus or no pawn mastery or whatever it is. It just, everything just kind of flowed from there, and all the problems I had with Xenoblade kind of washed away, and it's just been fun ever since for me.
Now let me ask you a question, because this is something I actually picked up on pretty late. I am in chapter 6, I believe, so I still have quite some ways to go, but you know how the chain attacks, like after you go through what you just said, where one art then like leads to another, leads to the third one, and then orbs are attached to that enemy. Mm-hmm. So therefore, generally when you're facing, random enemies out on the field, they're not going to last through too many of those attacks just because how much damage is being output. But when you're fighting bosses, when I first started playing, like, I would be like, oh, chain attack, and I'd be like, yeah, sometimes I see, like, elemental orbs there, and sometimes I don't, and then I realized that after you go through that progression of, your special attacks with the, chaining the arts together, that's when it puts an orb on the enemy. So what you really ideally want to do, and I started getting huge combos, is I would go through and put 3 different orbs on the enemy by doing, like you said, like, I used a water attack, then a wind attack, and then a fire attack, and I put a fire orb on it. Then I did 2 more of those, and then when you get into the chain attacks, that's when all of a sudden you can cycle through 3 or 4 times, and like I think I did 200k damage to like one enemy. So like that's when I was like, oh wow, like this is like you said, it's starting to, that was sort of like my eureka moment. Like, oh wow, okay, I can like take these attacks I'm doing and just like make them exponentially better by like actually properly chaining all of the attacks together. And that's when I was like started seeing just bosses like tend to melt at times, and it's like, oh man, this is so satisfying to get such a monster, attack on these enemies.
Well, and that's when I started battling the signature monsters, the ones that leave tombstones behind, and all of a sudden I wasn't getting 2 or 3 hit dead. Once those combos started coming in, and that's like you said, the orbs come in, and then as soon as you do that, then all of a sudden the battles aren't. Well, that was the other part too, is I felt the battles took way too long. But at the end of the day, it was because I wasn't battling the right way. So it just completely changes your perspective on the game when you can start, instead of like a 20-minute battle, now you got like a 2-minute battle,
Yeah, I think the game
That's
also
awesome.
is sort of like tuned weird in the beginning, because I feel like the way these fights are made or were designed, where like, okay, you're gonna have your party of 3 and your party members are all gonna have different blades that you can switch out on the fly. So in the beginning, when you only have one blade, it's a lot of downtime waiting for your arts. Each blade has 3 arts and they have cooldowns, so after you use them you need to wait a little bit of time. But when you have more than one blade, you can use those arts and then switch blades, and then their cooldowns are ready to use, you know what I mean? So therefore it just becomes very fluid, going like, okay, I'm cycling through my different blades, I'm using their arts, and sure, there is some downtime where you're just sort of auto-attacking, but it's not so much that you're waiting around for a terribly long amount of time. But like you said, when you've only got one blade, you're waiting for the cooldowns to come up. Like you said, the battles are just taking longer, and it's like it's sort of a strange intro. They should have maybe had the early enemies, like, I don't know, just weaker or something. You know what I mean? Like to just sort of, I feel like they were still designed with the idea of having multiple blades, and obviously that doesn't happen until quite a few hours in, until you really start to, they sort of really take the training wheels off and let you go at it.
Yeah, it certainly takes a long time to get to that point. And then even on top of that too, it was funny because at certain times you'll have like 2 characters or 3 characters with multiple blades. So once I got three people in my party, and I had the maximum of blades, then I started running around doing all the extra stuff, because now I had, like you said, that ability to actually build the combos, because I had all those people. And I was actually scared that I would start losing people in my party, so I'm like, well, I better get all this stuff done now before I'm back down to 2, and then all this stuff is hard again. So
well, it's strange actually, because there are parts where they like take a like one of your partners he went off to do some sort of business by their own, and you're down to 2 people. And there was actually one fight, and I was so close to beating it with 2 people. And like you said, it took forever. I was like, oh my god. It was a boss battle, so I was like so close, and I died. And I'm like, all right, let me go back and try again. And then like the next 2 or 3 times, I just got absolutely spanked. And I'm like, man. And then I looked online, and they're like, oh, actually, because like I had a 3rd party member, he just wasn't in my party. And then I looked, so you can actually go and get that person in your party, and then all of a sudden I just like rolled that boss, and I was like, oh, okay. But they didn't do a very good job of being like, well, just because that party member who was like actively in your party left doesn't mean you can't add someone else in. So that's you might experience that a little bit later on in the game, so I would just keep that in mind, because it was so strange that they didn't mention that to you, but then people were like, yeah, you can actually make sure to get that person in there, because obviously it makes a huge difference.
yeah, there's definitely a lot of stuff in there that you kind of either learn by accident or learn if you start reading up on online, like other people's experiences and stuff. But yeah, it's definitely a game once you start kind of. It was frustrating for me at the beginning, especially because I wanted to like it too, because it's kind of right up my alley of what I like to play. So I was initially disappointed and frustrated, but I kept to it, and happy I did, because now I'm having a good time with it, and it actually comes at a good time because it's a bit of a slow time for me. I'm not a whole lot of new games to review right now, so I've got that free time to kind of put into a meaty
Treasure
game.
it while you can.
Seriously. Yeah. So, David, when you were playing, I can just imagine the moment, your eureka moment, and, tears started flowing down your face, and you were smiling, and you just said, I'm really feeling it.
Yeah. Well, there was definitely some happiness, and maybe like a few Canadian swear words came out, like, why did it take so long?
Stupid Zamboni.
Yeah,
I don't know Canadian swear words.
It is a tough game, like you said, to get into early, especially when you've got other games sort of distracting you. That's why, like, with reviewing games and stuff, it's so strange to be like, well, I'm just gonna throw like an 80-hour game in the mix of all this, But no, I wish I could find more time to keep playing. But yeah, every time I do get back into playing, I'm like, oh, this game is just so good.
Yeah, and then and I got a whole bunch of PS4 games for Christmas that I'm just kind of.
Oh, you poor. Whoever got you those games, you're like, do you even know me? Do you know who I am?
I hate PS4.
No, you like your PS4. Right?
Well, it was more of a people ask me what to get, and I'm like, well, I got all the Nintendo games, so I guess you're gonna have to get something from another system.
Well, you got Horizon Zero Dawn, right?
Yep, that's my before bedtime routine is throw a little bit of robot dinosaur hunting in there.
How have you been enjoying that game?
It's fun. It's funny. It seemed a little bit harder at the beginning, and now there's definitely learning how to fight. The fighting's a little bit more difficult than I thought it would be. The robot dinosaurs are not forgiving.
Mm-hmm.
A lot more stealth than I was thinking.
So, I know my sister. She's a Western RPG girl. She doesn't play a ton of games, but she liked The Witcher. She liked
Skyrim.
Skyrim. I'm blanking on. It was another. I think it was from BioWare for PS4. Another like Western RPG, sort of like a Skyrim-y game. But yes, those are sort of her games. So I got her Horizon for Christmas, and she's like, she likes it way better than all those other games, and she's been chipping away at that.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, I got my brother Horizon Zero Dawn for Christmas as well, and he hadn't heard of it, and he goes, "Will I enjoy it?" And I go, "Yeah. It was rated really highly. It's it was nominated for Game of the Year." And he's like, "Oh, okay, as long as it's not one of those open world games." Like,
and you're like, yeah, it's
of course not. No, yeah. Definitely a good game.
It totally does not say on the back of the box, best open world game of 2017.
Biggest and most vast open world.
The most open world game ever.
Yeah, like, well, it's probably sort of linear, and he's like, oh, okay, well, as long as I don't have to like sell stuff to merchants and all that stuff.
As long as I don't need to craft any items in this game.
That's right. Where's that gift receipt?
And I'll be damned if I gotta kill it. And I'll be damned if I gotta kill a robot dinosaur.
Yeah.
You're like, what? Yeah,
that's right. I have a feeling that may be a trading game within a week or two.
Mm-hmm.
Coaster game.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Well, that's enough of this Nintendo business. Although this is Nintendo, but it is what it is. Perry, what have you been playing?
You know what? I just this morning I beat SteamWorld Heist, but and I've been playing that like all week. But I'm not going to talk about that because we're going to have our little discussion. I'll talk in depth about it for the topic of the show. But I did get a new phone this week, and the new iPhones have 64 gigs, like basic ones do,
The new iJimmy?
Yeah. And so I actually got to download Super Mario Run. I always liked this game a lot. It came out, and I think it was like pink coins, right? Pink and purple and black or something, right?
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, yep.
Bruise coins. Yep. And I think I almost finished it with all the pink ones. So it's like I didn't like play it through and do all the stuff, but you know, I liked it. It was just one of those games where, you know, I don't know, I got tired with it. Other games kind of, and then I had to delete it. And that's because it was just I had to make space on my stupid phone, you know.
Oh, it's the worst.
Yeah, it's the worst. That's why I hate gaming on my phone. You know, like that's a stupid trade-off.
That's why I hate the iPhone.
Stop taking pictures.
Don't you have an iPhone?
Yeah, not anymore after I get a new one. But hopefully that's not for a while, because Casey doesn't have money to spend on a phone right now.
yeah. But yeah, I've been playing Super Mario Run, and they have a new remix thing that I don't know if you guys know what that is.
I remember the music was pretty popular when it first came out, but I have not actually revisited Mario Run since it came out originally.
Yeah. Well, you basically. Oh, go ahead, David.
I was gonna say I may have played that the other day. I will listen to your description and I will confirm or deny whether.
Okay. Well, it's really cool. It's like they're in sets of 10 levels, and they're like little mini levels, like one after another, like literally like 10 seconds long probably, or like 10 15 seconds. And there's 3 like shiny coins to pick up in each level among the other normal coins, and you make it through. And like I think if you go through 30 sets of 10, so 300 levels, I think, then you unlock Daisy to use. I haven't done that. It's weird because it's like that's probably not it. I don't exactly know how to unlock it. It's a perfect, you know, it's a game to, you know, to play when you have literally like 1 minute, you know, not enough time to take out my Switch, but enough time to play something real quick. So but yeah, that's the and it also introduced where you can listen to your own music while you play. It just seems like a feature that probably should have been in there from the beginning, but
yeah, just a cool little thing that better late than never, right?
Yeah, and it's, I mean, the game plays so well, and you know, for being a single input game, you know, like there's no other, you just have the one button tap, and there's not even, you know, they could have put like 2 button taps, like 2 different buttons on there, you know. I mean, they could have done a bunch of stuff, but I think the idea is actually really cool. I mean, it's about exactly what you'd expect from a mobile game from Nintendo, you know. I mean, it's like the new Super Mario Bros. Run, you know. But I think it's really fun, and it's amazing how well it controls. And just on top of everything, it's so weird. Just that game is weird. You know, and it has like the mobile tropes of having like a kingdom that you can like decorate, and every time you beat a set of these 10 levels in the remix things, then you unlock like something that you can put in your kingdom, you know. And it's weird. I just am so not into that at all. I don't know, like
I think that's just thrown in there to give you a little extra something to do. Like
I get it. I mean,
and especially with the way they've been doing like event items. I believe there was a tie-in with Odyssey when it came out. I don't know if it was the actual Odyssey or just something, you know, from the game that you could just get like a little statue and place down. Yeah, I mean, it just seemed like filler to me, like when you didn't feel like playing anymore, but like, oh, another reason to keep the app open, you know?
Sure. And I don't know, just coming back to it, like maybe at first when we first got it and it came out, it's kind of fun, you know, to make a thing, but it's just coming back, it's just like, I just don't care at all about this. But, yeah, anyway, it's a fun game, and it's definitely worth, you know, and it's weird. I think it's really funny that thinking back on it now, you know, that they wish they would have not made it $9.99 to download the game, and made it $4.99 or like $2.99 or something like that. You know what I mean? I feel like even if, like, I think, like, wasn't it like 2% of the people that downloaded it bought it?
Yeah, you know what the problem was? It's that they gave you, the first 5 levels for free, and you could get through those, like, if you were literally just playing to get to the end of each level, it's like you could blow through the entire game in, like, a half hour.
5
Probably
minutes.
not even,
Yeah.
But it actually gets pretty challenging, and I went through and I got all of the coins, like all 3 difficulty coins on every level. And once you start trying to do that, like, you get to the point where you could definitely sink a lot of time into the game, to get through all the levels and collect all the coins. Like, I definitely got my $10 worth. I definitely didn't feel bad about spending $10 on that. But if I had gone in not wanting to do that and wanting to literally just see each level from beginning to end, well, then $10 starts to look like a ripoff,
Mm-hmm.
I played the rally when it first came out. I was hooked on the rally, like when you take on someone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Toad Rally.
Yeah, the Toad Rally where you pick a competitor and then you try to beat their score. So that's where I was sinking most of my time into, and it was $15 for me.
No.
Dang Canadian prices.
But
Taking advantage of the Canadian good nature.
I wish that they would put that kind of I think that the multiplayer aspect of that game is so cool, and I wish that it would, or the online, the whatever they call it, that kind of multiplayer that's not, it's not multiplayer, it's whatever they call it, where it's not going at the same time. But
like a passive
passive.
yeah,
there you go.
because I would beat my friend and then I would take the screenshot and I would send it to him and go, beat your avatar.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I do that to Casey. We did that all the time. So
that's the only way he could win.
So I think that'll be so cool in the next 2D Mario. To have that kind of if you could race and it'll track the coins you get or the time you do it or the points that you make, and then just having a high score of each level. Kind of like I know Mutant Muds does that with the time in the collection, and Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, you can there was leaderboards for that if you remember, for every level, but I think it was just for time. But I think it'd be cool if there was different ones for each level, and you could share it, and was really cool with your friends. And there was that cool Miiverse stuff. I don't know if you remembered that from New Super Mario Bros. U, because it was a launch, and you could leave clues and stuff.
What Miiverse?
Yeah, Miiverse. It came out on the Wii U.
I don't remember.
Oh,
it's
okay.
Dead.
You goldfish. But yeah, we actually might be talking about that in a little bit. But anyway, speaking of, I was gonna say mobile games, but I think you titled your game wrong on the document.
Did I?
Yep.
What's it called?
Not speaking of mobile games, I think you mean.
Yeah, I meant Fire Emblem Warriors. I play Fire Emblem Heroes. I'm definitely not playing Fire Emblem Heroes.
It's funny because the thing underneath it says it's Warriors. So
Casey couldn't find his backspace button.
About? Yeah. Yeah, Fire Emblem Heroes. Dang it! Oh, it's Warriors.
Well, I am using this Mac. I'm using the Perry Special today. I'm not at home right now. I'm at my parents' house, so I've got my crummy iMac and my Snowball. I call it the Perry Special.
Stop pooping on Apple.
I'll poop wherever I want, dang it. Yeah, Fire Emblem Warriors. It is definitely a Warriors game. I haven't played a whole ton of it. I got it for Christmas, so I played it a couple days. Sort of actually, put Xenoblade to the side to play some Fire Emblem Warriors. And then I'm like, what the heck am I doing with my life? But no, it's definitely a Warriors game. You've got your Fire Emblem cast of characters. They all chime in, and I think it works well with the gameplay. Obviously a lot of swords and axes, and then they introduced the Pegasus Knight, which I don't think any other Warriors game has ever had like a flying unit like that.
Can you fly?
I don't think you can actually fly. Like, I think you sort of hover a little bit, but I don't think like you can't literally like jump up into the sky and just sort of fly around. But
'cause that would be freaking sweet.
It'd be so cheap. Like, I was just gonna fly over the cannon fodder to the objectives. But
yeah.
What is good is they remember how in Hyrule Warriors they didn't have the ability to jump to another character, but then they added it for the 3DS version.
That's so weird, and they didn't patch it into the Wii U version.
So weird. But you'll be happy to hear that that is standard in this version, which should be. It actually works out pretty well because you start each little map, and you can sort of easily just be like, I want you to go over to this area, and I want you to go over to here, and I'll take over here. And then when you're sort of done with your objective, you could switch characters real easily, and then give the character you were just playing a new path, like go down over there. And again, it just sort of helps to alleviate like I need to run completely across the map to this other objective, you know what I mean? And it's sort of not that much fun. So it is nice that that's included. The game looks really nice. I mean, like I said, it sort of has that best of both worlds, where Hyrule Warriors, I thought, was better on the 3DS just because of the play style. It's suited for portable play, suited for that sort of like, I've got 10 minutes, let me just sort of blast through a level here, and then, I could just sort of put it away. And I thought that worked well with Hyrule Warriors, but like then obviously you lose how great it looked on the Wii U, so now you have best of both worlds.
Exactly. I'm telling you, it's coming.
I don't know, man. Maybe.
Hyrule Warriors is a-coming.
Maybe Hyrule Warriors 2. But,
Yeah.
I also think sort of how, where Hyrule Warriors, it was sort of cool how the storyline sort of split into the different, time periods, with each game, obviously with, like, young Link and all that jazz. This one sort of works as well because, I mean, Fire Emblem is so weird when you really think about it. Like, there's another realm where the children age way faster, and all of a sudden now you're, like, fighting beside your child, like a day after you had him. And that whole weirdness works pretty well with this game because it's sort of like, you need to find heroes from each time period, and like, they came in a portal, there's that guy, and then you can go sort of deal with him. So,
yep.
I mean, like I said, at the end of the day, it is very much a Dynasty Warriors game with the Fire Emblem skin on it. So, if you like that style of game, or you like Fire Emblem, well, you might like Fire Emblem and still not like that style of game, which I wouldn't recommend it. But I mean, it's just mindless fun, I mean, it's like, it's junk food. It's junk food gaming, I think that's sort of the best way I can wrap it up.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, I always wonder what they're gonna do next. Like, I feel like out of all the franchises that would have been, it's like, okay, you gotta do Zelda because that makes the most sense, But like, what crazy cool franchise could you do? And then just to do Fire Emblem, it's like that's the most boring one you could have possibly picked. And apparently they pitched Star Fox.
That would have been interesting.
Man, so much better in every single way,
Because to me, Fire Emblem feels very like Dynasty Warriors almost as it is,
Yeah,
like just
exactly.
with a lot of like the medieval. I mean, I know
they
obviously
could have like renamed the characters, and it could have been a Dynasty Warriors game.
Exactly. Yeah. So
I'm holding on for Punch It Warriors.
Yes.
Oh no, there's Mike Tyson, and he's just punching people in the face across the map.
And you start off,
or they could do
Glass Joe.
Yeah,
he's all the cannon fodder.
Yeah, King Hippo.
They could do a bunch of F-Zero warriors, but it would just be called Captain Falcon the Warrior.
The warrior.
And it would just be him. And it would only be Falcon punching everything.
That'd be
Right?
pretty fun.
Kirby Warriors.
I know.
I
mean, yeah, Kirby Warrior, anything would be way better than Fire Emblem. I mean, I love Fire Emblem, but it's just like boring.
I'd like
Yeah.
Final Fantasy Warriors.
Ooh, that would be interesting.
Boring.
Nope, don't
Shut up,
I-
Parrot.
Don't poop on my Final Fantasy.
I don't know anything about Final Fantasy, so
Well, I mean, Final Fantasy would be probably...
better than
I
Fire
mean,
Emblem.
Yeah, yes and no. I feel like, a lot of Fire Emblem is like, swords and axes and
Yeah,
shields
but the
and magic.
legacy
well-
of Final Fantasy, way better.
Is it though?
I think so.
I mean
You could have
the
the gun blades from Final Fantasy VIII.
all of the different eras of Final Fantasy, like from the beginnings to the like Final Fantasy VII to like nowadays, like, you know what I mean, like there's so many different ways you could go, whereas I feel it's like Fire Emblem, they're all the same. And with Zelda, it was really cool because it's like, okay, you get Toon Link, and you get Young Link, and you get Normal Link, and you get Sheik, and
Yeah,
like
but-
you go through all the time. So,
No, I agree. I think Hyrule Warriors was perfect.
oh yeah,
I mean, I think Final Fan, like if they did like a Final Fantasy Warriors, I feel like that would be. I mean, it would be more interesting than Fire Emblem, but I also think at the end of the day, a lot of the guys use similar, and of course,
Yeah.
like, you got Cloud and like his sword's amazingly epic looking, you know what I mean? Like that would be awesome to whip around, but at the end of the day, I feel like it would still be sort of like, well, I'm doing sword slashing and magic, you know what I mean? Which
yeah.
is sort of similar to Fire Emblem.
Or you could be Guardian Forces, fight as Ifrit,
Yeah.
Shiva.
No, I'm surprised. I'm surprised they haven't approached Square
well,
Enix to try and do something.
they've
like that.
they've done Dragon Quest Warriors, so they have done that.
Yeah, that's
with,
true.
with Square.
See,
so,
and yeah, that's true.
So, but anyway, Nintendo wise though, I guess like Smash Warriors would be.
Literally, whatever character you could think of.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would be so much fun. I just imagine playing one of those games as Captain Olimar, throwing Pikmin at spaceships from Star Fox. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, it'd just be the most amazing thing ever.
Where do I sign up, man?
Exactly. So, but anyway, that's enough about Fire Emblem Warriors. What other game have you been playing, Case?
The other game I've been playing, this one I'm doing a review for the site, and that is Hammerwatch.
Hammerwatch. Now, what kind of a game is this?
This is a little dungeon crawler, hack and slash kind of game, sort of similar to like a gauntlet, like a very Diablo gauntlet, sort of a primitive dungeon crawler.
This
like
is
that.
like the pixel art.
Yep. Yeah, it's
Okay.
like 8-bit. It's really cool actually. The environments are. So there's two levels, which is sort of disappointing when you think about it. There's two like campaigns, I guess they call them, and I'm working through the first one now, which is sort of like a catacombs, sort of medieval, stone area and gates and stuff, and you're working your way through, and the first little area is like, okay, so you're sort of thrown in, and I really didn't know what I was doing exactly, like, because honestly I didn't really know much about this game before starting to play it. So I'm like, okay, let me see what this is. You pick your campaign, and then you could pick one of 7 classes, and each class plays differently, but some are more similar. Pretty much breaks down into like a ranged and melee units. You've got like a paladin who has like good defense and a solid attack, and obviously he's melee. You got like warriors, I believe is the name, where they're a little more exposed defensively, but they dish out more damage. Then you have like your ranged, the rangers, sort of like like an archer. Then you've got like a mage and all that stuff where they do more damage, but like they end up getting hit, worse off. And the game is essentially, it's like a twin stick shooter. So you aim with your right stick and you move around with your left stick. You just sort of hit the trigger button to shoot, and then you can hit your left trigger button to do like a special. So for instance, the paladin has like a little charge attack, and the ranger has like bombs. They'll drop bombs, and as you start working your way through the dungeon, and like I said, I didn't really know what I was doing. I'm like, okay, I guess I'm trying to just go lower, you know what I mean? So I continue down, and then you find out like, oh, on each level there's sort of like this one little switch that needs to be activated. And the second level you get onto, it's like, oh, you find that, and you're like, all right, now I need to get back to find the first one, which is actually like one you have to revisit. So it actually had me running around for a little bit. But you get these 3 things, and once you activate those, it opens up a boss. Then you go fight the boss, and then you continue further down the dungeon. Now I just started playing this today, and I probably played like 2.5 hours, maybe 3 hours today. And I'm working on that second, after I defeated the boss, that second sort of area. So I'm not sure exactly how long each campaign is, but there are only 2 of them, and they're not randomly generated. So therefore, it's not like there's going to be a ton of replayability despite there being 7 classes, which is a little disappointing. So I've played the ranger and the paladin to start off. So when I went back with the paladin, it's like, okay, yeah, it's like the same exact layout. I sort of have a better idea of where to go now, and that's sort of disappointing because the classes are different enough that it would be worth checking them out, but it seems like the mileage is going to vary if the levels are all the same, like how many times am I going to want to run that campaign, even if the my abilities are slightly different, so that's a little disappointing when it boils down to it. But there is online, but apparently it's not working right now. I actually didn't get a chance to...
cooperative online?
Yes.
Okay.
And there's local co-op. I haven't actually... I definitely haven't gotten to play local co-op, and I haven't gotten to check out the online, but I know Justin Nation said it wasn't working, at least the time of when his review went up, so I need to check that out, and I'll obviously have that mentioned in the review. But... yeah, the game, it's... I can't tell if I like it or not. It's weird. I don't hate it. I definitely don't hate it. I don't love it. I'm sort of in the middle right now.
Right.
I'm looking forward to see how big each campaign is. Like, is there one more boss and that's it? And they're like, okay.
Yeah, I've heard really good things about this game. I don't know, but, if that makes you feel better.
Well, whew, I feel better now. A few things to point out. You do pick up money as you go through killing enemies, and you can use that money to upgrade your character. You can upgrade your defense. You can upgrade how much mana you have. You can upgrade your weapon, and it's actually pretty cool. You can upgrade combos. So at first you don't have any combos, and then you pick up the first one, and it's like get 10 kills in a short period of time from one another, and then all of a sudden you'll get haste, and then all of a sudden now you move and you attack faster. And then later on, I got that, and then there was it's like I could add chain lightning to that essentially. So when I get my combo up, I kill 10, I pick up haste, and now all of a sudden little lightning bolts come out of me in all directions that do even more damage, you know what I mean? So it's fun to sort of see how you can sort of play around with the combos and the upgrades to sort of personalize your character and change it up there. So I'll probably touch on this a little bit next week when I actually wrap it up, but for now it's not terrible. It's a fun little dungeon crawling game. Like I said, I'm a little worried about the longevity of it only being 2 campaigns. So, like I said, I'll have a little bit more to touch on that when I actually make it all the way through them to see if they're, if they end up being 6-hour campaigns, then you go, well, maybe I don't feel so bad about that. But if you
case is on the case.
Yeah, case is on the case. So I'll definitely keep you posted on that.
All right. Now, there are certain games that we play all the time that I don't even think about including in our weekly show, but there's a good reason to talk about a certain game because a new mode came out in that game, and that certain game is
Rocket
Splatoon
League.
2, and the new mode is Clam Blitz. So, yeah, this is kind of insane that it's just kind of like, ever since Splatoon, the first one came out, there's only been 3 modes. I mean, when they introduced Splatoon 2, 3 ranked modes. They did do Salmon Run, which was like the new mode for the game. But, that was a completely different thing. It wasn't like in the main Splatoon game, and it had its own system and everything.
Wasn't accessible all the time?
It wasn't accessible all the time, but the funny thing about it is that the way that you could partner up with friends was the best when you were accessible.
It said nobody ever.
No, it was. I'm saying like when it was on, you can go in it with a friend, one like 2 people. You can go with 3 friends. You can go with 4, or you can go with 2 friends and then 2 randoms. Like, it does it exactly how it should always do it. But only for Salmon Run. So stupid. But anyway, back in the dumb ranked mode. Just kidding. The new Clam Blitz is a brand new, completely different game. And a game that I have absolutely fallen in love with. Me and my friend Aaron have played it a bunch. And I know that I've played it... Have we played it together?
It's the only time I've played it was with you two Jimmies. That ended up, It was like you guys had played it before, and me and Mr. Panda had like no idea what we were doing, and we were just getting completely trashed. And every time we'd go back into the game to play the Clam Blitz, me and Mr. Panda were put on the same team again, and just got completely trounced because we had no idea what we were doing.
No, we would never do that.
Yeah. I distinctly remember like me and Casey repeatedly telling you exactly what to do the entire time, and you guys being like,
The damn football keeps following me around.
What the heck? I thought we were playing
weird.
Clam Blitz.
Well, it's so weird.
I've been shooting at my own net, and it's not going in.
Yeah, and the net's not. Anyway, so in the game, there's these clams. If no one has seen it, there's a bunch of clams like all
scattered about.
Scattered on the field. Some of them drop like later, and you have to collect 10 of them to make a football, and then you have to take that football to the other team's basket and throw it to break the balloon. And then when the balloon has been broken, then you have like a certain amount of time to throw clams into the basket. So more clams. Now that football counts for 20 clams at first, but then all the other footballs after it count for 10. And so there's a ton of strategy that goes into this game, and it's insane because you can throw clams to your friends. But you can also throw footballs to your friends. What are you typing in there?
It all sounds pretty complicated to me.
I'm a Jim. Me. All right.
You're a pervert.
But but yeah. So it's a really complicated game, and it's funny because the other ones are way easier to understand. But coming into this one, I remember we were like, because they don't even explain the game to you. And
Trial by fire.
It took us like seriously like 5 or 6 games to figure out what in the heck is going on, So I wonder how everyone was when that first, because we were just doing private battles just to figure it out,
I just remember the two teams on either. You guys were on our net. We were standing behind your net. Nobody was even. We were just trying to figure out how to put the clams in the net.
Yeah.
What the heck is going on here?
I know. That's how it was.
That's the only time I've actually ever played was that private battle with us. And I think we were doing 2-on-2, right? So not nearly
and
as
it's
fun.
way drastically different with 4-on-4. And
because then you can have defenders opposed to just like, oh, well, we're just playing 2-on-2 offense.
Exactly. Yeah, we were playing with Lemonade and good old Dan and Aaron. And we were all playing on a 4 squad. And yeah, like Lemonade was like holding back and like doing defense and basically just shooting anyone that comes near our net. And then we figured out that like you can jump to any of your friends with the clams or the football. So we would do this thing where like we'd go camp at their net without a football because then they can't
Camper.
And then but it's so hard to do because like just to not get hit by them. And then
we call them cherry pickers up north.
All right. Well, we were cherry picking, and we
Jimmy picking.
And we jumped to the other player and sink it in, And of course, that was super hard to do. Like we didn't do it all the time, but there's just so many things you can do like that. And I absolutely love the mode, and I think that we should all play it again and maybe understand what's going on. It's not hockey, David, so you might have to think a little differently.
I don't play games with balls in them.
I'll call it a puck when I'm playing with you.
You're a sick man, Perry.
But anyway, I'm glad I got a chance to mention that because it's like a very, very fun game. It seems that both of you couldn't care less about it, but that's okay.
It's not that I couldn't care less. It's just there's so many games to play that like and then when we're playing online games, it's like we could play Splatoon, or we could just keep playing Rocket League.
Yeah.
And it's I guess, I'm sure there's going to be a point when we're playing some online games where I won't want to play Rocket League, but that point isn't right now,
I hear you.
I've been thoroughly enjoying our Rocket League team.
I could play Rocket League whenever, and I'm fine with that. I definitely like Splatoon more.
Well, that's your bread and butter.
Yeah. So, I totally get it. But, Anyway, this has been a long segment, so full of mini games, and we're almost hitting an hour. So, let's take a break, and when we come back, it's time to round up that huge list of eShop games.
Fasten your seatbelts, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be a bumpy ride.
It's going to be a...
Beat you to it, Jimmy. It is time. I know Perry teased it. We've got quite the eShop roundup here, don't we, Perry? Yeehaw!
Yeehaw!
That's banjo for yes.
All right, the banjo episode. Yeah. So we have the King of Fighters '96 for $7.99 because it wouldn't be a week without the Neo Geo Hamster Toss.
Yes, sir. Now, this is one of many King of Fighter games. So,
yes, it is.
If you're a fan of the King of Fighters, man, you must be really stoked for the Switch.
Now, you might think it's King of Fighters '96 because it was released in 1996, but that would be wrong. It is actually the 96th King of Fighters game.
The definitive version.
It also happened to be released in 1996.
The definitive version.
It's so funny because I've got the Nintendo. This
time we got it right.
I've got the Nintendo site up for it, and it literally says, "The King of Fighters '96 is a fighting game released by SNK in 1996."
Yeah.
And you're like, it's not because it was released in 1996.
Well, what do we have next, David?
We have SteamWorld Heist.
That's right. Ultimate Edition.
The definitive edition.
That's right. And how much does that cost Canadian?
Oh,
Too much.
Too much. It's cheaper in the U.S. and it's $19.99.
$19.99 and and $29.99 Canadian. Now, that doesn't directly translate, does it?
No, the currency exchanges aren't exact, and it actually changes from game to game sometimes. Like it really depends on the publisher and what they're asking for, and like there's been times where I'll actually pick up the game from the American eShop, depending on the currency exchange at the time, like through, because now you can use like PayPal or even on my own Visa or something like that. So, and then sometimes I do some stuff where I get American funds in my PayPal account and I just leave it in the American so I can buy stuff off the eShop that way too. So,
have you ever considered moving to America just to save on games?
I'm waiting for universal healthcare first.
You know,
You're gonna be waiting a while.
If you would have lived here, you could have saved $3.92.
That's right.
And you could have turned that $3.92 into a Powerball lottery ticket, which could have turned into like $500 million. So,
yeah, they
really
don't have
a
the
bad
lottery
move.
in Canada, do they?
Yeah. No, I would have lost all that money through all of the hockey injuries that are required healthcare for.
I'll take
That's
care of you
right.
for free.
Yeah, my bi-monthly trip to the hospital.
Your dentist
Yeah,
is rich.
Richest man in Canada.
Now, I think that this might be a typo or something, but where's the rest of the games, Case?
I deleted them.
Oh my goodness. You deleted them off of the actual North American eShop?
Yep. I said, I've had enough of these games. I've already got too many games to play. We don't need any more. And at this rate, I figured I'd already played Heist, so I could let that one come out. And King of Fighters, it wouldn't be a week, man, without a Neo Geo game, so I had to pick one of them. And
You know
that's
what?
had to be the winner.
Your logic is literally flawless.
Well, it also works out because I called Reggie and I said, Reggie, I just figured out Xenoblade. I can't handle any more games right now. Just take it down a notch.
Yep.
And
In
he's
case
like,
he's
is this
friends with
call
Reg.
coming from Canada? Beep. And
Yes,
hung
sir.
right up.
Do we sell Nintendo games in Canada?
Who's the president of Nintendo of Canada? Excuse me, the prime minister of Nintendo of Canada?
Are you talking about the office in Montreal? I don't know if it's staffed.
That'd be awesome if he went by like, I am the Prime Minister of Nintendo of Canada.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, that's it for the eShop roundup. Is 2 games this week.
Dude, that
2
was
games.
a 5-minute eShop roundup. I can't believe it.
I know. I'm pretty sure
Don't
we've
get
done,
used to it, fellas.
I know. That's the reason why we could get David on the show this week is because he wasn't reviewing 6 games.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. But that means it's time for
News Talk with Casey Gibson.
I thought it was going to be a super light week, but I was able to dig up enough to make it a hearty week. You know, I had to fill the shoes of the eShop roundup, which was slacking. You could just thank Perry for that one. But to start us off here, and you know what, I'm actually going to let Perry take this one because he actually filled this in before I could even get to it. He must have
That's
been
right.
excited.
Yeah, so excited that I posted a picture twice because it got removed. But
It didn't get removed. It was moved to the bottom. Because it
guess it
completely screwed up my news block.
You know what? Looking at it on my desktop browser, I understand now because it takes up like the entire like width of the screen. But on my phone, it doesn't look like that at all. So just telling you.
Self-portrait, Perry?
But, what? Oh yeah,
Self-portrait.
Yeah.
And just for those, we have show notes that we edit, you know, obviously the news and all the eShop and stuff on there. So Perry elected to take one of his Miiverse sketches and slap it right in the middle of my news block. Not appreciated.
Gotcha.
Not appreciated.
Expect it weekly. Now, yes, like we said before, Miiverse is dead. It's gone. Dunzo. And luckily, this is really cool. Some really cool people have started Archiverse. And it has like basically all of the Miiverse, not all of them, but like almost all of the Miiverse postings and sketches and everything. Like, let's see the numbers here: 216,901,986 replies, 133 million posts, 75 or almost 76 million screenshots. You know, all that is there, and so like you could type in your name, and you can see all the stuff you did. You don't have to do anything. So I actually didn't save my stuff. Did you guys save your stuff?
No.
What's Miiverse?
Yeah.
To be honest with you, yeah, I could only the amount of posts I probably put on Miiverse were probably I could probably count them on two hands, you know.
No, for sure. But
I could count them on one foot.
Something that that one of my favorite Miiverse things was on the game in Wario, and it had this thing where it was kind of like a Pictionary type thing where you had like you had 60 seconds to draw something, and you know, and so my word was crying balloon, and there's this extremely sad balloon crying.
You nailed it. And
thank you.
And you know what's funny? That was 4th of July 2013 at 11 p.m. What was Perry doing? He was drawing a crying balloon on the Miiverse.
David, that's Independence Day in America.
I was more looking at the artist's age, and I was wondering if it was Miiverse guessing the age of the artist, or
20s.
No, that's like the.
Oh, that's so good.
That must be pretty good if I can draw something in 60 seconds and make it look like I'm a 20-year-old.
Yeah, you nailed it.
Thank you. But yeah, if you want to check that out, search Archiverse. That's like like archive with RSE at the end, and you can see the stuff you posted and mine. You can just search capital MON_32, and then you'll see all my stuff.
no secrets on the Miiverse.
Nope, it's all out there for you to see. And I just one last number I thought was crazy. 17 terabytes of data they saved just about. So that's a crap load of data. Very cool of them to do that.
Yeah. Now, speaking of things that have been shut down online, David, why don't you take this next headline?
GoldenEye 007 for the Wii. Online servers are shutting down March 30th, 2018.
Mm-hmm.
I can't believe they're still alive and kicking.
Do you know why this makes me angry? It's because I thought that they were already done. And I would have been playing that game. In fact, I'm going to play that game. It's great. GoldenEye and Wii is like definitely the best first-person shooter on there, if you don't count Metroid Prime. But
I don't know if I ever played GoldenEye on the Wii.
It's so good. And
is it like a remake of the original GoldenEye?
Okay, so when it was really weird because they didn't own. So you remember they didn't own the copyright for that, like for the game.
Because it was rare, right?
Was, yeah, so it was like based off of the movie still, like this new Wii one. So it doesn't make any reference to the old game, but it was using that name.
You know what's weird though? I thought that and I'll say I haven't watched GoldenEye in a really long time. But I thought the original game was pretty faithful to the movie.
Was very faithful.
So it'd be weird
I've never
that
seen
like
the movie.
You've never seen GoldenEye?
I don't care about James Bond. I've never been into it.
Well, here, did you enjoy N64 GoldenEye?
Not the story.
Alrighty then. Well, I'm not gonna try and convince you.
Game.
Well,
I was gonna say it's funny to like play the
hate
game and then go watch the movie and be like, oh wow, like all of these locations are in the game.
It's like
90%.
Really
cool.
It's very close. Like you're basically playing the movie. Like it's extremely close.
Guys, I remember when this came out for the Wii. I had pre-ordered it from Amazon. Or no, I didn't, but you could. And if you pre-ordered it from Amazon, they gave you a free DVD of GoldenEye.
Are you telling me you have a free DVD of GoldenEye in your home and you haven't watched it?
No, I didn't get it from Amazon.
Oh, okay.
No.
No,
You should have done your homework and watched the movie then.
GoldenEye's a good movie. Like I said, I'm not a huge Bond man, you know, like, especially, like, I haven't really watched the older Bonds, and, like, the newer ones don't really interest me. But GoldenEye, like I said, I don't know if it was because I love the game so much that I really enjoyed the movie, or that it's just a really good movie. But,
Right. I just never sought out to watch the movie, that's all.
First
Well, like,
Pierce Brosnan.
maybe that was it. I'm a Pierce is my Bond.
Yeah. And the
Not my Bond.
he was
Hashtag.
Sean Bean was a good villain as well. 006.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
really a villain.
Spoilers.
He was the villain.
You've ruined my childhood.
Well,
Dang it.
Jill, cancel the Amazon order DVD.
Yeah. It was playing in my theater next week. I was gonna go watch it. Screw
That'd
this.
be amazing.
Those Canadians
Stupid.
still watching movies from 1996 or whatever it is, but
Well, that's those cinema deals were like 20 years behind, you know.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, really impressive that the servers are still up for a Wii game, you know, in going into 2018. So I thought that was pretty cool. Sad that
You
they're
know-
shutting down, but you figured it'd be a matter of time, really.
You know, just because I can't imagine us really talking about this game a lot going forward, they did release, I don't know if you guys remember when this came out, it had that gold Pro controller.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So cool. The gold Classic Controller Pro. Oh, I'm so upset I didn't get it. Oh, so mad. But yeah. Anyway, I just wanted to mention that. You should check that out. Because that was like an official Nintendo game, like, controller, you know? So,
Craigslist.
and I know, I'm waiting. Because it'll go with my Zelda Wiimote, you know?
So you could probably buy it online for $1 bajillion, too, on eBay.
You know, and while this is on the subject of your Wiimotes, everyone who has Wiimotes, go back and take all the batteries out.
Yep, because they melt your remote after a while.
Yes, because they will whatever you call it. I can't think of the
Corrode.
word now. Thank you. Corrode.
I
They will corrode.
I lost one.
Yep. So do that and clean. I did that the other week. I took all my. I have like 10. And I took them all out and I cleaned them out and stuff because a bunch of them corroded. They still work, but if you leave them in there, they're gonna not work. So anyway, that's a lot for GoldenEye 007 for the Wii. Let's move on to this next one, Case.
Well, I was going to say, that's the beauty about only having 2 games on the eShop Roundup. We can take our time with the news.
You're right.
Next up, we've got Xeodrifter coming to the Switch, baby. Now, he said 3 games coming to the Switch in 2018. So now, we'd like to imagine
Jules Watson
Xeodrifter.
from a TUI. Yeah.
Right, that's going to be 2018.
Uh-huh.
Then
And
we got
you know,
2
he-
more.
Yeah, and he also sent out like he sent out a picture of the goat, the Totes the Goat, like sitting on a gamepad. That's that mobile game. So I'm thinking, you know, that might be
That might be
might
one
be
of
coming.
them.
You know, Totes the Goat, yeah. And also I think definitely Chicken Wiggle is gonna come, and Treasure Nuts, and then there you go.
But that's 4.
I know. That's why I'm confused. Maybe Treasure Knots is next year? I don't know.
Who knows?
But yeah. Anyway, I'm excited about Xeodrifter. I think that's a cool game. I really love that game. Metroidvania game. Really cool. But yeah, that was just announced today, so. Yay! I want to hear how Mutant Mudds did on Switch.
Yeah, I didn't see it peak into the top sales, but
Yeah.
I don't think that necessarily means it didn't do well, obviously. I think
No.
a lot of games are just doing so well, and that sort of brings us in our next 2 little bullet marks right here.
Yeah.
That Brawlout, which is the Super Smash Brothers type game, has passed 50,000 players on the Switch in the first 2 weeks. So that's sort of a little, I don't know if that means necessarily just 50,000 unique players, whether that, like, so maybe that counted you and me playing on one copy as 2 unique players, you know? So it might not be completely indicative of 50,000 sales, but nevertheless, that's still quite a few, players for an indie, Switch title in the first 2 weeks. So,
Totally.
and that moving right along. Now, this is a game we've talked about. Obviously, you reviewed it for the site, and this is a game I really, really, really want to get. And that is, yes, Enter the Gungeon. And that has sold 75,000 copies in 2 weeks.
David, I've been meaning to talk about this game with you. Have you played this game?
No, it's certainly one that sounded like I heard you talk about it.
Yeah,
and then
it's like Neon Chrome.
Yeah, I think I actually edited your review too. So
yeah, there you go.
So,
yeah,
I had a mental note to pick it up, but just haven't gotten around to it yet.
Oh, it looks... I love the idea that they just completely run with the whole gun thing, and, like, the enemies are bullets, and, like... Oh, it's just...
It's so good, dude.
It looks so good. That is...
It's
100% going to be a game I pick up. It's just sort of a matter of when.
David, you got to pick it up, too. It's great.
I like me twin-stick shooters.
Yeah, yep. Okay, next up, we have Mario Odyssey is huge in the speedrunning community.
Do you guys watch any speedruns? Is that...
Never.
No? How about you, David?
Nope.
No, I've done one, but I am not really too into the watching.
You've done one?
Yeah, I did one for Ironcast.
Ooh, that's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
Are you like a world record holder?
Yeah, I don't think there's like a whole lot of competitors out there, but technically I am on I can't speedrun.com or something like that. I can't remember which one.
So you're a world champion.
Yeah, like what I ended up the way it worked is so you do the speedrun, you got to tape it and then you put it it's actually on my YouTube channel, and then I sent a link to speedrun. And so then they set up the game and got the link so that it proved. I think came in at 1 hour and 14 minutes, and yeah, so.
Oh my goodness,
that's pretty awesome.
Well, Casey's like, hey, have you guys watched it? He's like, no, I don't watch it. I do it.
Yeah, I participate.
Yeah, cool, man. That's awesome.
But I've seen the things I've seen from Mario Odyssey. I love the little 30-second movies on Twitter for the Koopa free run. I love watching those because
those are really fun. Yep.
Yeah, because they're all they all should be less than 30 seconds. So usually the faster ones come in around but somewhere between 15 and 20 or 25, and those sorry, those I enjoy watching because it's quick. Like you can just see it, and you see some pretty neat moves and stuff. So actually, I wasn't too surprised to hear about the Mario Odyssey being big in the speedrun because it just seems like it's specifically designed for doing that and sharing it and stuff. So
yeah, it's crazy the movement. Like you said, the Koopa Bros races in the Luncheon Kingdom was the first one that I watched. I was just like, wow. Like, this guy is completely doing things, like, absurd, like, jumping backwards off of things that, like, he had no right jumping off of, and, I enjoy watching speedrunning, usually, like, I watch some, like, Majora's Mask on Twitch, and just, like, obviously, just things here and there, but,
I noticed you put that on your online dating profile.
I do, yeah, I mean... It's a prerequisite, We need to be able to enjoy our long nights of Majora's Mask watching.
I like to walk in the park, read the newspaper, and watch speedrunning on YouTube.
Majora's Mask 100% speedruns. But
no glitch.
Yeah, no glitching. Pretty cool stuff. They've got over 1,000 entries for Odyssey. The most of any video game, and the world record is for any percent, which is, I guess just hitting the bare minimum to beat the game, is 1 hour, 5 minutes, and 14 seconds. And then, now, it's actually really funny. The 1,000th entry was like 17 hours. Poor guy, he's got some ground to make up, but...
You mean like I went through the game and like tried to collect like twice the amount of moons in each level, and I beat it in like 15 hours?
Yes, exactly.
It would be funnier if he hadn't like ate or slept that entire 7. He's like, I'm doing this from beginning to end.
Yep.
He had to. He had to.
No lunch break, no pee break. I'm gonna
unless
do
if he
this
was
thing.
like, he's like, I could have beaten it in an hour and 5 minutes, but I started, got a half hour in, then I took like a 16-hour nap because I was really tired, and then I just finished up when I got back out.
Yeah. Well, the beauty of the Switch, right, is you can take it with you to the bathroom.
You can't record though. You need that video evidence.
You can if you're sneaky.
In 30-second intervals and stitch them all together.
That 1000th entry had enough time to watch the first guy do it in an hour, and then copy him for the next 16.
He watched him 17 times. Yes. Anyway, moving on here. David, what do we got up next?
We got Breath of the Wild is cleaning up the Game of the Year awards.
Yeah. Currently at Mario 128.
Not too shabby.
Meaning 128 Game of the Year awards.
Yeah, and that number's likely to climb.
That we know of.
Exactly, yeah. We got time.
It says you.
Yeah.
It's 326 on my watch.
Yeah, well, we will be doing Game of the Awards pretty soon, so we're gonna have to add ours to that. Well, if it is, that's what I'm saying. No?
Room in the Night Sky does not count for Breath of the Wild.
Okay, you got me.
You jimmies.
Okay, but now this next segment is unbelievable. It's amazing. I don't believe it. I really don't believe it.
What don't you believe, Perry?
It's insane. Okay, so the Amazon best-selling games of 2018. The top 10.
Sorry.
Or, yeah, 2017. Casey's from the future. No. So out of the top 10...
Metroid Prime 4.
Out of the top 10, 6 of them are Nintendo. It's just insane. So the first... I think
might as well go
insane
down the
thing,
whole list.
Yeah, so like the first one is Super Mario Odyssey. That was the best-selling game of 2017 from Amazon. Isn't that nuts? Does anyone think that's nuts? From a brand new system?
I mean, I'd be curious to see the data behind, like, how many people on a PS4 purchase physically versus digitally versus someone on a Switch. You know what I mean? I feel like Switch probably sells more physical copies than like Sony and Xbox. So
yeah,
that might sway it a little bit, but I think it's still
like, I bet those people playing PS4 buy GameStop, and buy other different different places than Amazon. I don't know.
It's probably pretty close though. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I'm thinking like the Batman Arkham Knight, when I bought that for my Xbox One, it was over 100 gigabytes. So there's no conceivable way that I'd be able to buy that electronically.
Right.
So
right, especially it take you. Remember how long it took you to download Skyrim?
Yeah, that's it. It took me 3 days.
That's nuts. But yeah. So okay, so that was number 1, Super Mario Odyssey. Number 2, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and number 3, Zelda Breath of the Wild. The top 3 games are Switch games.
I think the Mario Kart one is that's surprising to me to be number 2.
Well, think about it. Mario Kart's huge. Mario Kart 8 on Wii U was on the Wii U, and this is on the Switch. So it makes sense. You got double dippers, and you have everyone who didn't buy a Wii U, which is everyone who bought a Switch, basically.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's easily a game to double dip on. You know what I mean? Where like I'm trying to think of what other like Pokken. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, I played that game once, and I'm sure there are people who are really into like the Pokken tournament scene, which would have double dipped. But
like David.
Yeah.
But I feel like anyone, Mario Kart 8 is such like a evergreen title where it's like, oh, I could just go play, and it still feels good. I'd say years from its original release, it still feels good, and it's just a game I feel like everyone wants to have because it's that game that, oh, I've got friends over, we can play some Mario Kart.
Yeah, and there wasn't 500 games on the Switch at that point either, so.
Yeah, The best of days.
The good old days. Back when Snake Pass came out.
Ah,
And that's
good old
all you
Snake
had to
Pass.
play. Good old Snake Pass. Okay, next up, number 4 is Horizon Zero Dawn, previously talked about.
Although that might drop down to number 5 after my brother returns his copy.
yeah.
True.
Although I just got word from Sandy, she's officially beaten Horizon Zero Dawn.
Oh, really?
Yep.
That's awesome.
That's like her 5th game. I always joke with her because she never beats any games. So, so she made sure to see that one through the end.
Very good. Next up, number 5, Call of Duty World War II. And that was for PS4. And number 6, Call of Duty World War II for Xbox One. Why are you booing that?
I don't know. I don't like COD.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
I
you're
thought that
not a
was
COD
Casey.
man?
No, I'm
No,
not.
I like Call of Duty.
Yeah.
I know. That's why I was wondering why Casey was booing it, but it's
No,
David.
yeah,
so I get it. I get it. Where was Canada in World War II anyway?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Being a bunch of
It
Jimmies
wasn't
up
even
there.
a country yet.
Yeah.
We don't have guns.
Oh, we're just playing hockey, minding our own business.
Yeah, we don't have guns up
Yeah.
here. We just shoot pucks off each other's
We
legs.
just have hockey sticks. Yeah.
I just take out my neighbor's teeth with my stick.
That's deranged. Okay, next, number 7, we have Splatoon 2.
Woo!
Splatoon 2. And then number 8, Uncharted 4 PS4 bundle.
Boo.
Good game, good game.
Yep. And then number 9 and number 10 is Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, which I think is crazy. I don't know. I just feel like I haven't heard anyone talk about that, but that was still really like 9 and 10, on the 3DS, and it just came out like a couple months ago.
Oh, the
Pokemon,
Ultras. I
man.
didn't. Yeah, I'm surprised. I got both
Right?
original Sun and Moon, but I have no interest in getting Ultra.
Right, because it's on the 3DS. Now, the craziest part of this entire thing, to me, is this last one. It's number 11.
Yep, I made sure to include that one.
Oh my goodness. What is it, Case?
The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild for the Wii U.
Can you believe it? There's a top... I mean, if you count Ultra Sun and Moon or Call of Duty... I mean, technically, the World War II for Xbox One and PS4. If you count that as one, it's in the top 10. You know what I mean? A Wii U game from Amazon's. That's insane.
It's insane, yeah. And I'm part of the problem.
Oh, yeah, you have it.
Yeah.
What a Jimmy. Maybe, yeah.
You don't-
That's how they got you.
So you don't have it on Switch?
No, I've got on Switch too. I'm just an idiot.
No, he just bought it on Wii U. Yeah, he just bought it on Wii U.
I had it pre-ordered on Amazon, and then I just never cancel it. And I was like, well, I remember like Twilight Princess for GameCube was like a little bit of a rarity. Like,
Yeah.
I've got that one. So I was like, I'll keep the Wii U one in case, down the road maybe all of a sudden
I
it's
got
like,
tons of money.
yeah, not
5
anymore.
car accidents later.
Yeah.
You got it in
Okay.
its plastic still?
Yes, sir.
I see.
Well, that was the
your
joke.
Game. I see your game.
That was the joke. I was like, you know what's gonna happen?
Scalper!
That'll be the time that Amazon sends me a game like a week early, and I'll be like, oh, I can't even play it.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
like, what am I going to start Breath of the Wild on the Wii U and then like 3 days later start it on the Switch?
And you would have too. I know
I don't.
you.
No, I
would
don't
have
think
done
I
it.
would have. I don't think.
Yeah,
I would
you
have.
would have. Yeah, you would.
See, I really don't think I would have, because then I would totally have not want to play. I mean, I guess like knowing now what Breath of the Wild is, it probably could be done pretty easily, to go back and play it again and still have fun. But off the bat, I would have been like, oh, I don't want to have to replay the same exact area over again.
You would have
man.
justified it. You would have said, Perry, I needed some cheering up. I had to open it.
The only way I would have done it is if I just sent you spoilers a couple days before you even got the game.
Exactly.
Check it out, bruh.
Yeah. I got the motorcycle.
Yeah, they'll be like, that hasn't even been announced yet.
I found it.
Yeah. I didn't put it down here, but I think ARMS was 14 on the list, so good to see that still sort of pretty
Cool.
high up there, too.
Heck yeah.
Now, to go along with our numbers here and our figures, we've got the Nintendo Switch was the 5th best-selling piece of tech in 2017. Number 1 was the iPhone coming in with a stellar 223 million.
Oh my goodness! Look at the
Which is-
difference between number 1 and number 2.
Yeah, number 2 is Samsung Galaxy S8 and Note 8, which is funny. They lumped those two together. 33 million. So, only just a shy of, what's that? I guess 190 million. Then you've got the Amazon Echo Dot with connected speakers, 24 million. Apple Watch, 20 million. And then you've got the Nintendo Switch video game console for 15 million units. That's still insane. 15 million units.
15 million? Is that what they're calling it now?
I guess
15
so.
million?
That would outpace or outsell the Wii U.
And apparently that it's outpaced PS2 in Japan for the first year.
Yep, I remember we had mentioned that the other day, that it was on pace. Yeah, it is now surpassed. So,
Guys, that is really good to hear. Because PS2, I'm pretty sure you can still go to some places and buy new PS2 games.
the only thing I'm wondering is, yeah, I'm looking at. No, I guess not. Okay, I was gonna say, normally the consoles are released late, like November, but it does say it was released March 4th in 2000 in Japan, so literally one day after the Switch in the year.
True,
so
yeah.
that's pretty. Yeah, I was like, well, if it outsold it and like PS2 did all those sales in like 3 months' time, like it's not really that crazy of an accomplishment, but almost literally the same exact time on the market for the year. So,
And we still have 3 months left to go.
yeah,
Or 2 months.
good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah, 3.
2 months? Dude,
3.
I can't believe the Switch is... No.
No, yeah, 2. Yeah, you're right.
I can't believe it's been almost a year. That's crazy.
How time does fly when you're playing 14 million games and trying not to drown.
Yep. Now, I like this rumor mill we got going here.
Yes, sir. We got some rumors over at the mill, and David, why don't you spit us out this first hot rumor?
Detective Pikachu game rated for America on 3DS.
Yep,
Thank
not
you for reading that.
Not
David.
Canada, just America.
Just America. Well, that's fine.
Yeah.
You guys can have it.
It'd probably be like
Super NES
$1,000
Classic
anyway.
is not being released in Quebec.
Well,
Mario Cereal is not being released.
no, Mario Cereal wasn't. The classic did end up coming to Quebec event.
Yeah. But they had to tell you first that it wasn't.
No, well, Quebec had to flex its muscle.
Yeah.
Man.
Give us those classics.
Yeah, we're like, put it in French. We don't care. We don't need your crap.
Boom.
Boom. It's in
Now, that's a fine rumor. You know what I mean? I mean, I guess it getting rated is not the rumor, but the rumor is that it's to be released sometime in 2018. But no one really. I mean, I guess there are probably some people who care about that. But this is the juicy one right here. We've got rumors of a Nintendo Direct coming next week on the 11th, which will be 1 week from when this posts. So, obviously, if you're listening to it after that point, less than a week away. Of course, it is the rumored date, so we don't want to put anything in stone. But I feel good about this one. I feel like that Direct beginning of January. It feels right. Feels like a good time.
I was just thinking the other day. I was like, man, I really miss a Direct. Like, I feel like we haven't seen one for a long time.
I feel like
So
It's gonna be all Kirby.
yeah. Oh God. Can you? Yeah. The year of Kirby.
The year of Kirby.
Oh man, the year of Fire Emblem.
Oh no, it's so funny to think Fire Emblem. You know what? We'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, so hopefully we've got some Nintendo Direct goodness coming. Like I said, I like that. Give us a Direct January, laying out like the first half of the year, then you roll right into E3, and that gives us the second half of the year. I feel like that's sort of like a good formula for Nintendo to sort of try and follow.
Yeah, totally. Yeah,
It's good stuff, but
I can't wait. I really hope it's real.
yep, fingers crossed. And of course, if that is true, we're going to be covering it next week. So, but yeah, we'll get into that hopefully next week. And that's going to bring us to the end of our news section here. Like I said, we didn't have a ton to talk about, but a couple good tidbits. Let's take a quick little breather, and when we got back, we've got some strategy goodness to talk about.
Strategy goodness.
Giddy up.
I'm going to strategize over this break.
we're an hour and a half into the show and we're actually going to start the topic.
It is about time,
finally.
yeah.
It's about time.
You know what? It almost feels like we see these short eShop roundups, not a lot of news. Every time I'm thinking like, oh, man, we might have a light show this week. But boy, do we know how to talk for 2 to 2.5 hours, like, no
About
matter what.
Nothing.
It could literally, we could have one game to talk about, and we'd stretch that puppy out for 2.5 hours.
Yep. All I have to do is start talking about Canada and its culture, and boom.
It's a skill. It's a skill. But yes, we're finally into our topic of the show here, and it's going to be a very loose topic. We've been playing a pair of strategy RPG games, and it just sort of sparked like, why don't we sort of break up what we've been playing and talk about those games on the second half of the show, and then maybe sort of dive into some other games that we've talked about, other games in the genre that we've played, throughout the history, and just talk about some of those games that are on Nintendo consoles. But without further ado, we're going to get into a game I've been playing, and it's a game I feel like I've been pretty vocal about being excited to play, and that is Tiny Metal.
Yes, the Advance Wars game that we've been waiting for, and finally Nintendo didn't make it, and someone else did.
Yeah, it's funny because we saw during that presentation, we saw Wargrove, which really...
I'm so ready for that.
Yeah, that game really looks like Advance Wars. Obviously gameplay-wise, but more aesthetically than this game. But this game looks really nice too. It's got... I guess I want to say it feels like it was like made in Unreal or something to that extent. Like the characters are sort of like that, look sort of like little glossy guys. But it is very much Advance Wars at heart. You go into these maps and you can capture buildings just like you can in Advance Wars. You've got your different abilities, and like you've got your factories where on the map you can actually just, I've got this factory I took over, now I can start pumping out units from there, whether they be ground units, tanks, which are actually called metals in this game. So you got like your metals and your heavy metals. And then
Metal or metal?
Metal. M-E-T-A-L. Metal.
Gotcha.
Or
are you meddling in someone else's business?
Are you meddling my business, boy?
There's metal, and
just
metal.
a tiny bit.
Yeah. Well,
but
you're definitely meddling in some business, but...
all right, it's called Tiny Metal.
Yes.
Right.
Now, the first thing you're going to notice when you get into this game is they really... they talk for quite a bit before you get into any battle, laying down the...
Just like Advance Wars.
Yeah, laying down the story for you, what's going on. You're a commander, and your lieutenant's missing, so you're like, you got to go find him... reports that he crash landed in enemy territory. So, the first couple chapters, you're just sort of working your way into enemy territory. And they, start to introduce new elements into the game, new units, what they do. You can start getting air units, you start getting radar units, strikers who, send missiles from far away. And those all start coming into play. It is, like I said, it's very much Advance Wars. You go and you capture buildings, and they sort of boost your revenue that you pull in each turn, which obviously in turn, lets you build more units. And what's sort of cool in this game, and I forget if it was in Advance Wars, you can, so like say you have an enemy target, and you pull up one of your units next to him, and you could focus onto this person, or lock on to this person. And then you bring another unit next to them and attack with a focus fire. And what'll happen is the first unit will attack, and then the second unit will attack, and then the enemy unit, if that doesn't kill them, they will only attack that second unit, and that first unit will be safe. So you won't have to worry about them taking any damage at all.
Okay.
So it's sort of nice to have them work, hand in hand, and that adds, of course, to the strategy. And sort of how you approach any given map.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what I've noticed is
That's cool.
I'm sort of early on in the game. I shouldn't say that. I don't know. I probably played like 8 missions, give or take.
Okay.
And the missions probably take about a half hour or so. Some of the earlier ones probably not quite as long, but some of the later ones now I'm getting into are starting to be a little lengthier. You could definitely take some of that time away by probably just getting rid of the cutscenes that you sort of see over, or not the cutscenes, but the attack animation.
Mm-hmm. And
that
take those off.
So far, right now, I'm still enjoying them. Playing the maps and having those come up haven't bothered me yet. So that might be something that I turn off probably within a couple missions just to save time to get through it a little quicker. But what I've noticed so far is not crazy amount of difficulty just yet. Of course, it's not like I'm just going through these missions perfectly and not losing any units, but I've never really felt threatened, or where I had my back against the wall and I really needed to do some crazy stuff to pull out a win. It's just sort of been like marching through, taking out enemies, and sort of cleaning up the maps. But another thing that's sort of interesting that I think might be unique, you guys help me out here with my advanced wars knowledge is a little rusty, but there are buildings that you can capture, and they actually deploy special units. So it's like it's a trooper unit, but they've got a name, Billy Bob, and then like their attack is stronger than your average unit, and they have some more health than the average unit, and they've got like tanks of those, and you can only deploy one from that building at a time, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, in Advanced Wars, there are cities you can capture, and then you can use those to heal your units, like 2 points at a time, Or there's also like facilities you could capture that you can create, like as you're acquiring money, you can make units at those facilities, and you can make any kind of unit, like whatever, multiple kinds from that one factory thing. Is that what you're talking about?
No, they have that. They have the factories where you could build like the troop or the infantry units and the tanks. Then they have like air-based helicopters and jets.
Yeah,
but like I said, they
water-based ones
they have these special buildings that they literally, it's like deploy one unit and they give you like 3 or 4 options. And like I said, it's pretty much just a standard, like a normal unit you can make, but it's got some boosted stats, and like they have a name, so like they're a special unit. Cool. And those aren't on every map that I've encountered, but like they've been on more than, I'd say they're there more often than they're not. So like that adds a little bit of elements different than like I said, I don't remember that from the Advanced Wars, but I haven't played Advanced Wars in a while, so. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it so far. I did experience one crash, which was sort of weird. It was actually just today. I was finishing out a mission, and then it was in like the post-mission little cutscene where they're giving storyline, and it crashed, and I was like, oh god. I was like, do I have to do that entire mission over again? But luckily, they must autosave throughout, and it was like one move before that cutscene started up anyway, so I was relieved on that. I would have been pretty annoyed to have to go back and do it again, but so far, yeah, I'm really enjoying it. Obviously, the somewhat small, like I said, they're getting to the point where they take about a half-hour mission, but it still feels good on the go. Feels like one of those games you could pick up, put some time into, put it back down nice and easily. How the missions work out. So I've really been enjoying it so far. And like I said, I wonder now when we see Wargrove if it's going to be similar to this or if they're going to try and do some more things. Because like I said, I feel like Tiny Metal stays pretty faithful to the Advanced Wars formula. Mm-hmm. So it'll be interesting to see how Wargrove sort of tackles it.
Is it War Groove or War Grove? I thought it was War Groove.
I thought it was Wargrove, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, like that's what I love about. I mean, I've always thought of Fire Emblem and Advance Wars. They're like the sister games, right?
Yep.
Now, David, have you played these games a lot?
Not a ton. Most of it's more lately than in the past, I would say, actually.
Yeah, I mean, it's relatively new. I mean, like it came out on the Game Boy Advance. I think both of them, right? To America. That's when they.
Yeah,
which is funny to think that, like, the Game Boy Advance didn't have a Mario, but it brought Advance Wars and Fire Emblem to America, which is kind of weird. But yeah.
I should also real quick, just before because I feel like we're moving away from Tiny Metal. There is like a fog of war present in Tiny Metal throughout every map that I've encountered so far. So that is definitely something cool too. Because now Advance Wars, there were definitely maps where you could just see the entire field of play, right?
Yeah.
I feel like Fog of War definitely came in sometimes, but yeah, Tiny Metal really relies on that Fog of War, so you need your units to sort of spread out to be able to see them all. And I think that's sort of nice because that instead of just sort of seeing every unit and be like, okay, I could prepare for these battles sort of from the get-go, I think it gives it a little bit more of like on the fly, like, oh, I just ran into 4 enemies over there and I only have 1 enemy that way, you sort of need to adjust on the fly, which I sort of like, but yeah, that's enough about Tiny Metal.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds a lot like Advanced Wars. But what I wanted to say is, like, and I think I mentioned this before, the difference I thought with Advanced Wars compared to Fire Emblem is that, and what I really like about it is that there's no level progression in Advanced Wars. There's no, you beat the level and then you move on. Now, you're not grinding, you're not gaining experience points to level up certain characters. You don't have that option. they give you what you need, and then they present a puzzle for you, basically, and then you have to learn how to do it given what you have. It's not I might have to go and grind some other levels to try to make my guy, I don't have that option. They take that out. And I think that's just really cool. And it scratches both those itches. It's like, well, if you do like grinding, and I do like that. I do like, like powering up certain things so that I can, be better, unlock new abilities or something with my players. But it's just cool how this kind of simplifies it all, and it gets really hard in Advance Wars. And you're saying that in Tiny Metal, it's pretty easy so far.
Yeah, so far, I haven't really ran into, like, crazy amount of challenge. They do give you, like, a gold, silver, bronze rating after each battle. So there have been ones where I'm getting silver, So, I guess you could go back and try and complete it faster, and maybe that puts you in tighter spots,
Is it by, like, turns? Like,
it's by score. And I think
okay.
that's dictated by turns and how many buildings you capture and that kind of thing. But yeah, like I said, I'm not I don't really, I guess, know exactly how long the game is, but I feel like I'm still pretty early on into the game where I think it's going to ramp up, and I'll touch on that probably next week, if not definitely the week after that to when I wrap it up, but. Yeah, no, I know Advance Wars got brutal.
Yeah, I remember. I remember when I was playing it back on the DS, and I remember like getting through this mission that was so ridiculously hard. It's when you have to. It's like when you have land stuff, water, and air stuff all going at the same time.
Mm-hmm, yep.
So, and it's just like so hard, and I remember. I beat a huge level, and I was like, yes! And I went to the next level, and it could have been the last level of the game. I just remember looking at the map and being like, nope, not going to be able to do this. I quit. And I just didn't play it. But then, it's funny, because now, I mean, I that had to have been probably 10 years ago. And going back to it, I played, like, a couple years ago, I played through every Advance Wars game. I beat every single one in the same year. And And it was funny because I didn't have that issue. Like going back to it, so. But
it's so funny. I've got when I was playing Fire Emblem Sacred Stones, I got to a really late map, and I would get housed every time, and it was one of those freaking battles that took 45 minutes, an hour, and I get 40 minutes into it, you know what I mean, and get dominated. And I remember I was just like, F this game, man. And then I remember like a year later going back, and I was like, I just replayed the whole game from the get-go, and I was like, oh no, here comes that mission, and I like one-shotted it, and I was like, oh man, like, what an idiot. But I remember, with Advance Wars, I remember
I must have been high then.
Yeah. With I'd go to bed at like 11 o'clock before like school, and I remember I'd lay in bed at 10 o'clock every night. I'd be like, all right, here's my hour of Advance Wars, and I played Advance Wars for an hour before going to bed every night.
Heck yeah. Oh man, I love that game so much.
Just enough to get you frustrated when you didn't get the map.
Yes, and we'll come back and talk more Fire Emblem, but I wanted to talk about the game I've been playing like insane amounts of time with, and that's SteamWorld Heist. And I am very happy to say that Jimmy was wrong, as in me, and that it is definitely Image and Form's best game.
Woo!
Hands down. Yep. I have
He's seen the light.
Switched. Yep, and you know what? When it came out, I played it on 3DS. I remember liking it, but I just remember getting bored of it, and I don't know why. I mean, like, I just wasn't into it, and I think I know why, and this might sound weird, but I think it's because the size of the screen is so much better on Switch, and it's just kind of a hard game to, even though I know you guys, or I know that Casey played it on 3DS, and I did too, but I just like it so much more on that big, beautiful Switch screen.
I played on the small 3DS too.
Yeah, and just everything about it. It's a masterpiece. I mean, it really is. It's a masterful game, especially in the strategy or tactical RPG. It's not really. I mean, is it an RPG? Is that what you call it? I mean, I'd say it's a strategy.
I think
RPG.
It'd be considered RPG because of the
level ups.
Yeah, the leveling. Yeah, so you level up each character. Plus, there's equipment that you have to choose from, and then there's also you can only carry so much equipment, so you kind of have to pick and choose what
management.
Type of, yeah, like, do I want the long gun, the long shooting gun, or do I want like the short blast shotguns? And do I stick with, like, because for me, I kind of just stick to the same three people because I just want to level them up as far as they'll go.
Yeah,
and I mean, I might pay for it one day, but
that day's not today.
That day's not today. I'm gonna.
Well, yeah.
I'm gonna whoop some bad guys with some extra abilities here. And
okay. So I went through and I just completed it, and I ended up with it's something like 140. I got 144 out of 145 stars or something like that. So I had played every level.
Nerd. Yeah. I was gonna say, what a loser.
Yeah.
Couldn't even get all 155.
Yeah, you know what's stupid though is that it doesn't even it ranks you, like the first, because I beat the boss and one of my guys died, so I got 3 out of 4 stars instead of 4, and then it went to the credits and that's what it said. And another thing is, something that was kind of disappointing was that they never rank you on how many turns you take during the game, that has nothing to do with your final score, which I really like because it's not really part of it. You can be efficient and that can help, but it's nice to not have to rush everywhere and be super stressed out about that. Just taking out it's more about taking out the robots, and being out of the way of things. But then at the end, it ranks how many turns you took, and I got a bronze star out of how many turns. It's just kind of like, what? Like, since when are you grading me on that? It's like, I wouldn't have been doing that if I. But anyway.
Yeah, I think towards the end of the game, if I remember correctly, they start to introduce like sort of subtle ways to sort of force your hand into going quicker, right? I believe they have like respawning enemies, or not respawning enemies, but new enemies,
they have
sort
enemies
of come
that
in.
can teleport. Yeah,
but don't they have a maps where like if you take a certain amount of turns, maybe the alarms I'm thinking about.
Yeah, it's like if you don't do the level in 6, then an alarm goes off and then turrets come down, or
there's literally a few where like the ship explodes, so like you'll die if you don't finish it. And I missed that on one of them, and I was like, what the heck? I had no clue that was gonna happen. And man, the game can be so punishing in with you dying, because you lose half of your loot. I mean, of your money that you've accumulated. So it's a really, like, after a while, it's like, okay, I just need to spend money when I get money. Otherwise, there's just no.
There's a good chance you might lose it. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like
just like in life.
Yeah. What good is money?
That's it. I'm spending all my money.
Yep. And
I'm not gonna die rich.
Something I mean, there's a bunch of things
I don't have
that
to worry
really
about
like.
that.
Yeah. The main thing I like about the game is that it has skill. Like, you literally need skill to play it. Like, the strategy's fantastic, where to take your, where to put each, to learn what your characters can do. Their progression is amazing, and they all grow into their different characters. Like, you have someone who can heal. You have someone who can shoot after traveling. Like, they can shoot in their sprint zone.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe we should just, for those who haven't played it,
yeah,
the way it works strategy wise and how it's sort of a tactical game is it is turn based, and you'll have your team of 3, and you can sort of move around this 2D map. You see it's sort of like a platformer. It looks like a platforming game, right? And each character sort of has a certain distance they can move. Now, there are times when they can just move short distances, and then they can, take a shot, or, in certain instances, you might want to forego actually attacking that round to gain a little further distance. Maybe, I need to get behind that barrel to sort of give me some cover. And then what's, like Perry was saying, as far as the skill comes in, now, it's not just like some games where it's like, all right, I'm in spot, attack that enemy. Oh, okay, they took that much damage. All right, that's it. Instead, you get to that point where, all right, now I want to attack, and now you actually need to aim, and it's sort of like, sort of turns into almost like the twin stick with the aiming. You use your left stick or your right stick, excuse me. And what's cool is, you can ricochet these bullets. So there'll be times where an enemy will not, like, you will not be able to get a straight on shot because they're behind cover. But what's cool is you can actually, certain bullets will actually bounce off the wall. So you'll be like, okay, I want to bounce it off that wall, and it'll actually bounce up behind what he's getting, protection from, and then I can hit him that way. So it just mixes that bit of strategy RPG that you're sort of accustomed to, and then throws in that element of actually you aiming and you being in control of where that attack goes. And I think that just those two go hand in hand really well.
Yes, I mean, and yeah, the different perks that, like, they're all amazing, and the upgrade system, it just feels so good. And so that's the main reason why I love the game. But the other thing is, like, there is no cheapness to it. You never feel like the computer is cheating. Like, for instance, when you're playing Fire Emblem, and then out of nowhere,
the crit,
you're just surrounded. Like people, like 5 units just come in, like, from the left,
and they're all archers, and your Pegasus Knight is over there.
And then it's not that they just move in. They move in and attack, and they kill you. And it's like, how in the world was I supposed to know they were gonna come in right there? You know, like that was so stupid. Like that's just dumb. And they're very, very good at not having anything cheap like that happen in the game. It's very fair, and I love that. I really do, because like for instance, there are some that can teleport, but like the ones that can teleport, they can't teleport and shoot. They can only teleport after they shoot. You know, so they can only walk a certain distance. So I mean, like just there's a lot of stuff just like that.
And even the ones that respawn, you know where they're gonna come out of. Like
yes.
It's not like, oh, I just come out from the right of the screen wherever I feel like it.
But exactly, you know where, and when they do respawn, they don't attack when they respawn. You know, they give you a turn to get out of cover. You know what I mean? So exactly, and so I just think that was so nice. But not to say the game isn't freaking hard, because it is hard, and it's cool because it's scalable. You can actually go into any mission. You can change it between 5 different levels of skill, like to easy to like super hard, and then you can get more experience points, you know, based off that, which is cool because you can replay levels. And so I did that for like, you know, probably a good hour. I grinded out on various levels, you know, just to get to raise the levels of my characters to see what, you know, the kind of perks you can get, and it was just really awesome. So those 2 things that I really like, and then the third thing, which I feel like I wish was implemented into more games, is the aesthetics of the game. But there's this the hat system in this game. Now, it's just pointless. It doesn't do anything. The hats don't give you any sort of power, any sort of things. They're just hats, and you can find them. You can shoot them off people's heads and grab them. You can there's hat shops, you can buy them for large amounts of money, but they don't do anything. They're just to make your character look funny, and they're
purely cosmetic, baby.
There's some funny comments about hats, like when you lose hats and shoot off hats and stuff too.
Yeah, Tarnations and stuff like that. They go with the Western theme. I had a hat that looked like anime Super Saiyan hair. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Like Cloud. It looked like Cloud's hair. And I think they even made a Cloud reference or something like that. And I put that on one of my guys, and it looked so funny. I don't know. I just thought it's this robot with this anime hair who just looks like he's a troubled young man who's wearing an anime wig, and it was just so funny. I don't know.
That's why you got a bronze on your turns. You were too busy spending them picking up your hats.
That's true. Yeah.
No, I can't lose my hat.
I can't. I gotta get that one. One of them you can get like a Luigi hat. That popped up on one of them. But yeah, I absolutely fell in love with this game with SteamWorld Heist. And the Ultimate Edition on the Switch includes the DLC, which David, do you know what the DLC is?
No, I don't.
It's interesting. It's because I don't exactly know, but I know that Fen, the character, you know Fen?
Yep.
That is the DLC. That is that was a new character brought in after.
Well, that's what I would have guessed, because there's a couple of they almost seem like side missions. There's the Fen, and there's another. There was one that was earlier. That was I think it was like some equipment pickup or something. That was just like that, where it's kind of like a ship that's on the map, but it's not really part of.
It's off the beaten path.
Yeah, like it seems like it could have been an addition after the fact sort of thing, but they were fun levels, like. Yeah. Because even Fen, like, he has his own ship, and you find him like broken up, but then you got to go find pieces of him. I think in like the robot graveyard or something like that, or like on another.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
And I think isn't Fen the character in Dig 2? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think.
I think that's the main character. I mean, yeah. So I love that little. And Fen has crazy different can build up, like when it kills an enemy, it builds up charges, and then you can spend those charges like just like on your normal turn to help to heal yourself or to give extra damage and stuff, which is so cool. So I love like a character that can heal itself really easily is really cool. And it was like a grenade launcher. And okay, so spoilers. Here's a quick. It's not story or anything, but for one of the weapons you get, if anyone doesn't want to hear, just skip forward like 10 seconds. But it's this like grenade launcher that can shoot like straight through enemies. I don't know if did you get that one?
I have grenades. I don't.
No, this one shoots
no,
straight forward,
Yep.
and it's pink. And it's
like a rocket launcher, right?
It goes through the enemies and like it doesn't stop until it hits a wall. So you could literally take out 10 enemies at a time. It's the most. I mean, it'd be hard to line up 10 enemies in a row, but you know what I mean. You could, and it's so sad because they explode. It's amazing. But anywho, I absolutely love the game, and it's an absolute must play if you have not played it. I think that it is one of my favorite strategy RPG games. It's up there with like Fire Emblem and Advance Wars. I think it's amazing. So
yeah, it's definitely great, and just like you said, with like the dialogue between the different characters, like on your own ship, like he could talk to all your characters before and after levels and stuff, and you get kind of the goofy image and form stuff, and then going to the saloons and meeting the robots that the weird robots and stuff,
and the weird robot bands,
the saloon bots,
the
train conductor bot.
Now this was the first time you've played Heist, right, David?
Yep. Yeah, this is. I didn't realize it was on the 3DS when I started playing it, so it's new for me.
You can imagine how it's so much better on the Switch.
Oh,
because of that screen, you know.
Well, I can't even imagine playing it on a smaller screen. Like you really like it just works because you gotta be able to see where you're shooting and it for the ricochets and stuff. Like it's a must play on the Switch. And
it was cool on the 3D, you know, but yeah, it's just it's just so much better to have that big screen.
Well, and it looks beautiful in dock mode as well. So.
Oh yeah.
Now, David, are you part of the good guys who think Heist is better than Dig now?
Yes. Yeah. I've played Dig 2, and it's good, but it's I
love Dig 2.
A je ne sais quoi about Heist that just that Dig 2 doesn't have. I don't think. Like
I need to play Dig 2, but man, it's just Heist's gameplay is so nice.
Yeah, it's like it's weird. Yeah, it is nice, and it's like these people are masters at that type of gameplay. Whereas with Dig 2, it's like the platforming is nice, but it's not like the best platformer I've ever played. You know what I mean? It's not like the digging is really nice and cool, but it's just like it's not in the same league as Heist. I don't feel.
I think, like I said,
it's still amazing.
It's really just taking the tactics and then just giving that player agency with the aiming. That I just feel like that's the perfect marriage.
Yeah. Well, the levels are the perfect
exactly
length too, though, because it's like I could play one in a short period of time, or I could crack through 2 or 3 if I'm sitting down. But I just like the feeling, like you get that feeling of completion. That I've progressed or something like even when you play a short period, where with Dig, there's no you can't really just sit down and play through the whole thing. So it's almost like you're leaving partway through the game sort of thing. Where I don't know, the amount of time it takes. It just works perfect in the portable mode where you get. Right. You play as much as you want, and whether it's short or long, you get that nice feeling of I had fun.
Right, it's way simpler because it's not a big open world like Dig is. Yeah, I mean the chapters it's so much better. And just for reference, so I almost 100%ed it, and it was it was 22. I took 22 hours on Heist.
Well,
and,
I think
yeah.
there's good replayability there too, because it's fun just to go back in and play a level.
No,
And
you
they're
know what's amazing?
procedurally generated.
Yeah.
You know what's amazing is that at the end it unlocks New Game Plus, and you can play through the game. And spoilers, I guess. It's not really spoilers, really. I don't know. You can play through the game again with all the hats that you've got and all the characters that you've got unlocked from the beginning. I don't think they're leveled up because that would be stupid. But you get the characters from the start, so you can start, training
Leveling
the ones
them
you
up
want.
sooner, yeah.
Yeah. So dude, I'm telling you right now, I want to play through it again.
Well,
So
yeah.
I might have to play through it again on New Game Plus.
Boom. Now, we've been talking about these two games for quite some time, so I guess I've compiled a list here of just some other strategy RPGs, some tactical RPGs for Nintendo consoles, and I figured maybe we could just sort of give it a rundown, maybe talk just lightly on our experiences, maybe, if we like them, don't like them, etc. Like I said, this podcast is running long now, but...
yeah, you're right.
Of course, for Nintendo, the first one that's going to come to mind is Fire Emblem, especially with the most recent push of Fire Emblem.
You mean?
Yeah. So, I mean, have you guys always been into Fire Emblem, not into Fire Emblem? Sort of, what's your touch on there?
Personally, I could give or take. Like, I played Awakening this year, and it's all right.
I like Awakening, but it's... I don't know if this is an unpopular opinion or not, but my favorite of the 3DS Fire Emblem games is definitely Echoes. It's, like... To me, Echoes blows the other two out of the water.
Yeah, to me, and the same thing, it might be unpopular, but the characters don't mean much to me.
Yeah,
No, dude, same with me, absolutely.
You know what it is? It's you're introduced to so many characters over the course of just a single Fire Emblem game, which I think it's both good and bad. It's good because there's just so many characters you're bound to resonate with, one or two of them that you really like. You'd think, but then it also runs the risk of just like, oh, another mission, 2 new guys are on the team. I guess I'll never play with this guy, really, or, I guess it also sort of runs that risk. But yeah, and then with all the different games being in completely different, generally speaking, worlds, it just ends up being like, yeah, oh my god, you played 3 Fire Emblems and you've met 100 characters,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I don't know, they don't seem all that much different. I'm looking at, like, it's like Robin, Marth, and Chrome. I'm like, whatever, they're all the same character.
Right. No, I know what you mean. Like, I mean, I guess it just depends on, how much you get into a Fire Emblem game, And I know people that are, like, super into Fire Emblem. And they do know all the characters. And, they do love it. And I mean, I guess it kind of goes towards the anime type, like that, it has that same kind of script and screenplay that anime has. So I mean, it's very Japanese, right? It's like the most Japanese thing ever.
Yeah, very anime for sure.
But yeah, Fire Emblem's great. And then now I guess with me, I think my first Fire Emblem game I played was it must have been
Sacred Stones? No, GBA?
Probably.
Might have been the
I played
DS one?
I can't remember. And it wasn't the DS one, I never played it. And it should have, I guess it would have been the GBA one. On the 3DS, I think. Which is crazy to think about. But I had been into Advance Wars before that. I just never played Fire Emblem. But then I realized, But I love Fire Emblem. And I gotta say, it's like, I would rather have Fire Emblem raining from the sky than like Kirby or Pokemon or something. I don't know. Like, I think it's a really cool franchise, but yeah.
I was going to say, I've always loved Fire Emblem. Like I said, it's one of those ones where I can say I've been there from the beginning, you know? Like, I got the original Fire Emblem on GBA. I still have it, although I might be selling it. But I've always loved Fire Emblem, you know? I always got super hyped up when a new Fire Emblem game was coming out. But now that there've just been so many lately, it's honestly sort of, like...
Watered down?
Yeah, it's just when Echoes came out, I remember I was like, oh, like a new Fire Emblem game comes out tomorrow. Like, cool. Like, I'm going to pick it up because I like Fire Emblem, but I'm not excited for it. And ironically, that ended up being the one I liked the most on the 3DS. Right. But it's just, I think, fatigue when you say...
Total
like,
fatigue,
I don't want it to rain Fire Emblem from the sky anymore. I want it to, like, I know we've got the one for Switch coming out. And, like, I'll be excited to see what that one looks like, and I'll play it, of course. But, like, after that one, if we didn't see another Fire Emblem game for 2-3 years, I think that would be a good thing.
Definitely. Yeah, I remember there's that rumor of that port coming.
Yeah.
The, whatever, what was the middle 2 games called? Or the middle 3 games?
What do you mean middle?
The ones before
or
after
Fates,
Awakening.
Fates,
yeah. Yeah, so I remember that rumor of that coming to Switch, so...
That would be interesting.
But yeah, I think that going forward, if they're going to use the Echoes moniker, I'll be into those games a lot more.
Yeah, Echoes, so good.
I really like that game. I got that as a fluke from Craigslist, remember? Mm-hmm. Like a week after it came out, and I was like, well, I guess I got it now. But anyway, let's touch on these other games real quick. So, Final Fantasy Tactics, I've heard is an absolute amazing game and series, especially like the second one on the DS. Has any of you played that? Have any of you played that?
For me, Final Fantasy Tactics, I played the original one on PlayStation 1, and it just has the most amazing soundtrack. I still listen to that soundtrack like once a week. For a little bit at least, but
once a week.
Yeah, you like I said at work, I listen to game soundtracks like all day long for the most part. So that usually
okay,
you know, nerd. Yeah, oh for sure, big time nerd.
Yeah, seriously,
I wear it proud, boys. But I've never beat it, but I feel like that was my first introduction really to that style of gameplay. You know, where it's like that we've got the grid, you've got your characters, and you're moving through. And it always had me interested in Final Fantasy Tactics Advance, but it was just never a game I ended up getting around to playing. So it's an important game to me, but at the same time, I'm not like super invested in the series as much as I would like to be, at least.
I love Final Fantasy. I love Final Fantasy, but I've never played Tactics, and so I might put that on the backlog.
Oh, all right. David's never playing.
Yeah, he might get to it in 7 years. We'll have him back on the show.
Okay, now this next one, Shin Megami Tensei Devil Survivor 1 and 2.
Oh baby, let me tell you about Devil Survivor, man.
Tell me.
So good. I have not played the first one. Ironically enough, I've played the second one. I'm pretty sure they're standalone experiences. Like you don't need to play. Either one.
And this is drastically different from Shin Megami Tensei.
Oh yeah, I mean this is a grid-based tactics game. So it has things that are present.
Okay, hold on. Remember when I said that like a Shin Megami Tensei game comes out like every year? Remember that?
No.
Remember I said that, and I forgot who we were talking with, and you're like, no. It's because when you said that you were more excited about that than Metro Prime 4. And I said, wait a second, you can't be more excited for that because that Shin Megami Tensei game comes out every year. And you're like, no, it doesn't. I was like lumping these games in with the Shin Megami Tensei games.
Yeah, but
this is a different thing.
It isn't. It's like, to me, it's like, all right, so Shin Megami Tensei is like the umbrella, right? And then under the umbrella, you've got like the main line, which is very much like a JRPG, right? Then you've got like Devil Survivor, which is very, very much like it is a tactical RPG. You know, like there is a
like grid based.
Yeah, there's a grid, and like it takes elements from the Shin Megami Tensei. Like you are picking up like different demons and stuff to fight with you, and you can have 3 on at a time. But it's like, and then like Shin Megami Tensei Persona evolved from that, you know what I mean? So like I feel like Shin Megami Tensei is a big, like, it's attached to a bunch of names or a bunch of games, but like there's very different subgenres underneath that banner, you know?
I just thought Devil Survivor was one of the mainline games.
No, Devil Survivor is like 100% tactical RPG, you know, and it's tough as nails. That was one of those games where I was like 75% of the way through, I was like, I've done this map like 3 times. Like, I'm flipping it over to like easy, you know.
Yeah.
Boo. Yeah. I know.
Yeah. Boo.
But no, nerd. It's like rough crowd. No, but when I went through, and now these games were at least the first one was released in 2009 on the DS, and then it was re-released on the 3DS, the overclocked and
just a port.
So
I remember that because it was like the same game and it looked bad and it had 2D and it had no 3D and stuff.
Yep, and I think it added all voice acting and things that weren't in the other one. But
okay.
But yeah, really fun. I really like the game a lot. Like I said, really really tough, but it's got that elements of Shin Megami Tensei thrown into a tactical game. So I really really enjoyed that game. I played that. Probably played that like 2 years ago. I really liked it a lot.
Okay, cool. David, I'm guessing you haven't played it.
No, but
beautiful.
It sounds very interesting.
Yeah. We talked a lot about Advance Wars.
Yeah, as I said, I don't think we need to get too much.
Disgaea, we had Alex, Mr. Panda, talk about that when he was on, and it's on the Switch. And I don't think we've played that at all.
No, that's for me. That's one of those games I like. Originally, when it was announced for Switch, I'm like, "Oh yeah, baby, I'm in." And then all of a sudden, the onslaught began, and this guy like.
I'm still.
I didn't have time for an 80-hour
clearance. Game. You know what I mean? I think that's a good like clearance game, like $10 or something like that. You know, so. But.
I was gonna say this next one now. I know I have played it, and that is Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle. Obviously, just came out this year for the Switch. Another tactical RPG, but a little bit of a different spin on it. And I'm assuming you probably haven't gotten around to try this one out yet.
Nope. But it's next on my docket. I beat Heist, and that's what I'm gonna play next.
You're gonna love it, man. Have you played this one, David?
I can't wait.
Yeah, I did the review for it.
Boom! There you have it.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, Neil's Switch died, so I was the lucky recipient of the review and did a video for it. And
I was probably like, "Why did this Jimmy get that review?"
Yeah, that's right.
Who's he?
Why is this noob getting this important game? Guy doesn't know what he's doing.
Now he runs the site.
Yeah.
No, it's a fun game. I like the tactical. It's got good replayability because even after you've defeated an arena, there's challenges that you can go back and do for specific things, and the animation is great and the story's fun. So yeah, it was. I really enjoyed the playthrough.
And now they've added the multiplayer into it as well.
Yeah, and that's fun. It's funny. You know what's funny though is at the time I didn't notice it, but now that I've played Heist, I actually miss the ability to aim yourself. I'm like, this game would be a whole lot better if I could just aim my own damn gun.
Yeah, that's why Heist is so damn good, man.
Yeah. Like Mario keeps missing, guys.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like it reminds me of like the Mario and Luigi RPG games, the ones for the Mario and Luigi games where you have to dodge and actually land the hits and stuff while you play, so it adds that element of skill to not just like point and click, but
yeah, and I thought the enemy
variation in Mario Rabbids is really good. Like to have kind of your smaller drones, and then you had those like the big guys that if you hit them they chase you, sort of thing. Like
Oh man, those are mean.
yeah,
Spoilers.
Just kidding. Too bad if you haven't played it. No, like yeah. So yeah, it was a very unique title. I thought it was good.
Cool. I can't wait to play it. So you'll probably hear about it next week from me. Boom.
Boom, boom.
Now, next up, we have the Mercenaries Saga series, which has been on the 3DS, and they just announced
It's coming to the Switch.
trilogy. Yeah. And I believe Jules Watcham talked about it when he was on the show the first time he came on. And it's like a grid it's like a tactics game. I remember him saying it was like $4, and it was like an amazingly like a well thought out and fun game on the 3DS. So I don't think that Casey, you've never played these, right?
No, I have not.
Yeah, and
No, I haven't
yeah.
either.
This would be one
Yeah.
I would definitely be interested in if I had time.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, exactly. No, exactly. Yeah. Now the one game on here that I have played a ton of is Codename Steam. And I really loved that game when it came out. I mean, I didn't play it right when it came out. I did play it after the big update. Casey played it before the big update, that
Sure did.
the slow version, and I think it still would have been fine. The update made it a way better.
It was just one of those things where when I was playing it, I'd be like, oh, their turn. I would just sort of like be playing it by the computer, and then like when the enemy turn was sort of simulating out, I would just do something else, you know?
Right, which
is
kind of stinks.
which
But
is-
like,
yeah.
luckily you could get away with it. Now, I do want to say I feel like this is really a new 3DS enhanced game in many ways, because first of all, the update when it came out, I don't know if you guys remember this, but you could like double the speed on the original 3DSs, but on the new ones you could triple it. And I thought that was so funny. Like, I mean, there literally was like, okay, well, we have this much computer memory that we can use to make it faster. And on new ones, you can literally make your game go faster. And you could use the nub to do the moving, to do the aiming on the new 3DS. So it really was a way better experience to me on the new 3DS XL when I played it. I mean, I'm assuming than playing it on a regular 3DS.
Man,
But-
do you remember the E3 when they revealed that? Like, it was like there's one more game, and they had like the private room.
Yeah. That was the same year they revealed Splatoon.
It's so funny how badly it bombed, but I don't know why. I thought it was a fun little game. Like I said,
Because of the aesthetic is weird.
see, I like the aesthetic. I like that it's weird
I know,
like that.
I know. But I mean, like, it's not broad appeal having Abraham Lincoln flying a blimp with the Cowardly Lion.
It's just so bizarre, but I don't know.
It is.
I liked it, man. David, have you played this
Oh, no,
one?
I know. I love that game.
No, I haven't. But it if it's not on Switch, I don't have time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say if you actually did want to play, it'd be good because you could get it dirt cheap. I believe new copies were being sold by Amazon for like $2 a while back.
Yeah. Which is insane, because that game is so good. It's made by the Fire Emblem and Advance Wars guys. It's made by
And that one's
Intelligent.
it sort of has like Mario and Rabbids vibes in the sense that, like, you know what I mean, you get your position and,
yeah, it's a 3D, and it has huge heist vibes. Because it's like it's based on the what do you call that?
steampunk.
Steampunk. Yeah, it has that steampunk aesthetic, and then you use like, you can only go so far because of your steam, and you can use your weapons with steam as well, kind of like heist, like your movements and stuff. So it's just weird how those steampunk games came out so close, and they're very similar, but it's like the 3D version. But yeah, it doesn't have that like wall bouncing mechanic, and I think it's where Heist is a better game because it's simpler and it makes it more like efficient. Like it makes it work a lot easier. But I really did love. Yeah, I loved Codename Steam.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Now, those are just to name a few. Of course, there are other games I originally listed down, but just for time's sake, like Project X Zone. Wow, Project X Zone. I know that's a
or Cross Zone.
Whatever it is. And then I know there's a bunch of older ones like Ogre Tactics that we can get into, but I don't think
Hockey Blades of Steel.
Yeah, the most tactical game, hockey, and of course there's chess. Very tactical game, very strategy.
Heck yeah!
Not much RPG elements in there, but
no, dude.
I level up my knights.
That would be cool though. Wouldn't that be cool to make a chess game where you level up the pieces?
Oh no, a level 9 queen!
Man, that's a really good idea.
Hey, you
Dude,
level
that's
up
a good idea.
Cut that part out of the
your pawn.
podcast.
You level up
I
your
will.
pawn.
Yeah, that's true. You get that pawn to the other side.
Dude, imagine if there was like a leveled up chess game where like you could give like different assignments to like the pawns, or like for instance, each pawn could have a shield on them to where they can withstand one attack. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. That'd be cool.
Well, like I said, edit that part out of the podcast.
All right.
That could be our moneymaker.
Yep. But we are getting long in the tooth.
We sure are.
It's only 2 a.m.
Yeah. That's right.
Started at 6.
Yeah, we're cutting out a good 4 hours of podcast and just knock it down to a reasonable 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Yes, and so I would like to say thank you to David for having time to come on to the podcast.
Well, thank you for having me on. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, it was finally good to have you on. It took too long.
And I definitely want you to plug the manuals that you do. And, David Lloyd, the running joke of Talk Nintendo podcast is that he reviews and edits every single game.
He only does everything.
He only does everything. Yeah, he's the Sony PS3.
I do the stuff that Justin doesn't do.
Yeah, exactly. Him and Justin.
The two-man wrecking crew.
Him, Justin, and Neil.
And then me and Perry pick up the slack if there is any.
Yep, that's right. But yeah, go ahead and pimp away.
Yeah. So I guess the thing that I've been doing lately, when I'm not reviewing or editing, is trying to get some manuals completed for games on the Switch. So I think I've got 5 so far. Started with Tumbleseed.
Yeah.
Arms,
Goner,
Star Fox 2, Ironcast, and I'm just started working, and I hope I finish it. Xenoblade 2.
Ooh, you better. I need
man.
that one for my steel case.
160 pages.
Yeah. It'll have to be edited down to 14. So,
Yep.
But yeah, the instruction manuals are. We're nerds, so we're printing them off, and there's actually a spot for them in the cases. There's like
it's amazing.
It's a nice little holder. You can stick it in. It fits perfectly. The case holds it in. And then, but then on the site we also give the manuals away digitally, so you'd have a PDF that you can kind of sock away if you wanted it for on the go, and they're
really, really cool. And
you do a great job with them.
I am a total graphic design snob, and I think that this stuff. I mean, it looks like what you'd expect from a professional, from the game designers. This looks like the manual. It's incredible, and the Goner one is definitely my favorite, only because I love Goner. But you made a Star Fox 2 one, and it's awesome.
Well, I laughed at the arms one. I had an extra one, so I sent it to Neil, and he said he had a friend over that was giving him a hard time about how he managed to get a manual from Nintendo and no one else did.
Yeah, exactly. The arms one is incredible because it looks real. It's weird. I don't know how you did it, but I don't know about how you do half the things you do.
He's Canadian.
Yeah.
That's it.
The time, 12 hours for you guys is 16 for me.
That's right.
It's like the dollar conversion rate.
You're always stuck in the snow, and this is what stops you from getting cabin fever.
That's right. Yeah. when I'm not shoveling snow, I'm making manuals.
Yeah. When I'm not eating poutine, I'm making manuals.
Now that sounds like a good life, if I could say so. Poutine sounds really good.
Peeling taters and making manuals.
I almost want to just end on that. But before we go, of course, you can find us on Twitter, Talk Nintendo Pod. You can find Perry P. Burkham. You can find me, Case_Jets. And you can find David on Twitter at Filtered Gamer, right? Is there any underscores or anything? Just Filtered Gamer.
Yep. All one word.
Good stuff.
Yes.
Good stuff. Well, once again, thank you, David. And, yeah, we'll definitely have you on at some point again in the future. But until then, try not to drown in all them games.
Sounds good.
His name is Perry, he's slamming on the banjos.
Yeah, hoser. I don't know.
I'm really feeling it.
I don't know.
4th of July, 2013 at 11 p.m. What was Perry doing?
I don't know.
He was drawing a crying balloon on the Miiverse.
No, don't poop on my Final Fantasy.
I'll poop wherever I want, dang it.
I don't know.